you can hear me, let us know we got sights and sounds. You got that you guys got volume. You guys have audio. Let me know, guys. Let us know if you have audio. Let us know. Vicky, I see y'all on. Let us know. Latifa, let us know if you guys have audio, okay? Hey Ricky, I hear myself back. Yeah, it's like an hour ago. You okay, you watching it live. Are you watching it live? Oh dang. That's crazy. Hey, you know what? That's my fault, bro. That's my live plan. That's actually me. I'm like hearing it on my Facebook. I'm in it. I'm watching the comments come up. I'm like, Ricky, something wrong. Man, that's crazy. Oh, the Illuminati. All right, okay, so let me see here. Guys, can you guys hear me and Ricky? Let us know if you can hear both of us, guys. I'm sorry. Okay. You're muted. Right.
Can you guys hear me now? All right, so everybody confirming that they can hear me. Okay, they say yes. Okay, so we got everything good on the mic. Okay, got Ricky now. Okay, all right, let's go, man. You want me to get into the video?
Yes.
Yes.
Hang on one second. Hang on. Let me
Let me
get to
get to
this. Let
this.
me
Let me
get
get
to
to
the
the
screen
screen
here,
here,
and
and
I'm
I'm
trying to
trying to
wait
wait
for
for
YouTube to
YouTube to
load it
load
up
it
for
up for
me
me
so
so
I
I
can
can
actually
actually
get
get
to it.
to it.
Let's
Let's
see
see
here.
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 And
And
I'm
I'm
trying
trying
to
to
wait
wait
for
for
YouTube.
YouTube. All right, we cool. Okay, let me speak to the family real quick. What's up, Terry McCullough? I see you. Let's what's up, Hi, it's Nikki. Why people why? Andre Boyce. I'm just gonna shout some names. I see you guys. Anthony Baker, No Name Rose, Charles Mc
Testing, testing. One, two, three. Testing, testing. Can you guys hear me? Dang, we might just chill out on that. Don't even trying to do that video. Is it up? Is it up right now or somewhere or something? Okay, they hear us now. They hear us now. We good. They hear us now. I think. Okay. Yes. Now. Okay. Guys, if any point if we go out of what you guys already know to let us know. I don't even know why I'm saying that. Uh. So anyway, family, listen. As you see, I was trying to say some names on here, and they wasn't rolling off my tongue right. Right. You could tell I wasn't familiar with the name. I wasn't acquainted with the name. And a lot of people, if you don't say their name correctly, they'll be upset. They'll actually feel offended because you mispronounced their name. Ricky, do a test, and they said they cannot hear you. It's like either or. Okay, Ricky's muted for right now, so we good. Ricky's muted for right now, guys. It's just me and you guys right now, so just act like you don't see that him sitting there. If you can do that, uh, But yeah, so anyway, we're gonna talk about this today. Why do we identify with things like our names, especially when names like James and Mary for male and female are two of the most popular names in the world. You know, why do we identify with names when you know psychics can tell you that hey, there's a James speaking to me from the other realm, from death, right? And I'm gonna speak up for you guys. Sorry about that. Speaking from another realm or the afterlife world, and you believe it's your James or some James that you know. It's many Jameses, and that people are able to use these type of tricks to manipulate people all the time. It's just by things like using their name. Like, wow, how could he have known my name? That was crazy that he knew my name. How you know it started with a J? Like they're choosing popular, not popular letters and popular names to go off of. But either which way, man, you guys are gonna see tonight that how we identify with other things, right? And we do it on accident, but it's how our brain learns. And before you know it, hey, you're programmed. And so now it is time to deprogram. What you guys are about to see is just a sneak peek into my exclusive Patreon series called The Deprogram. It is where we go into the mind and we break away the constructs that have been holding us back and we challenge everything. I'm talking about if you're not prepared to be challenged, you don't even want to come over there because this ain't just about religion. I'm gonna be in everybody's house and everybody's kitchen going through all your stuff. You're gonna swear I'm watching you. Okay. So I want you guys to really make sure that y'all pay attention to this because I'm just gonna give you guys a little crack, a little sneak peek into what this will be like. So please, guys, I would love to have your support to come to Patreon so you guys can be able to see this every time I launch it. It'll be weekly on Saturdays. But for right now, let's get this work. Ricky, you're good to go ahead and upload it. So this is called the Deprogram, guys.
All right, bro. I'm gonna bring it in.
All right, brother.
Let me tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad. It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you want to know what it is? It's everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
All right, rise and shine, family. Welcome to the first session of the Deprogram. Session 1, lose your mind. So before we talk about how you lose your mind, we got to talk about how you got your mind. But first, let's talk about what is your mind. It says it is the element of a person that enables them to be aware of the world and their experiences, to think and to feel, the faculty of consciousness and thought. So that's of course the definition of what the mind is. The synonyms are brain, intelligence, intellect, brain power, okay, intellectual capabilities, wits, understanding, reasoning, judgment. Remember that one, judgment, sense. Remember that one, okay, and also a person's intellect. So we understand now what the mind is. So let's talk about how you got your mind. I want you to imagine being a baby, okay, having no clue what the world is, and being thrown completely in water. You know, many animals, when they're thrown in water, through the trauma or just learning on the
Hey,
spot,
Ricky.
they're able to learn to swim. Just imagine being this baby thrown into this water, and now you're panicking, and all of a sudden you're having to learn to swim. Just think
Rick,
about
can you
how
hear me?
cold the water feels at first, all of that, and just think about how much more comfortable you begin to feel as you begin to keep your head above water and get comfortable. This is how we were thrown into the matrix. We were born into this world, and we just had to learn to swim. So they, the water, like the water molecules that move through your fingers as you're trying to stay afloat, those become the words, the religions, the racisms, things like that we subscribe ourselves to, trying to stay afloat by attaching ourselves to these identities. And what you notice about this water is that it's fluid. Not just in the sense of the word as in it's liquid, but you can't grab onto it. Just like you can't grab onto any of these religions.
Ricky, can you hear me?
That we have been given to survive.
Hey, pause. Stop the video.
Uncontrollable. It's not our world. It's not our realm. The matrix is learning to survive in it. Okay, so as this water slips through your hands, just like anything, any god.
Is it stopped? Okay, yeah, it was super, super duper choppy. Yeah. Somebody said, "Where's Josh?" Do not be like that, y'all. We are trying our best. All right, so listen, guys. So
I agree. Where is Josh? Because listen, man, like this is my first time doing any of this stuff. Okay, so man, if you want to volunteer to do it, please help us. Yeah.
It's
all right, go ahead, bro.
Listen, guys, the video will be on Patreon. I'll tell you what I will do. After we get off, I will make this video public to all you guys so you can at least see what you're getting. All I ask for to join Patreon is just $2 per month. Just $2, man. That ain't even a shot at the bar, So I mean, but at the same time, I want you guys to know the worth, know the value. So what I will do is release the video tonight, so you guys can see this, see the initial one series, part one, and then you guys can know if you want to pay the $2 per month to see it weekly on Patreon. Okay, but trust me, it's going to be really, really good. So either which way, we're going to talk a little bit about it. Either way, of course, you heard Morpheus telling Neo that the Matrix is all around you, right? You can't. It's like you can see it, you can touch it, you can taste it, but you don't know what it is. You can't quite put your finger on it. Anybody know of anything else that's like that? God, right? He's supposed to be all around you, right? All around you, inside of you, enveloped. You're supposed to be enveloped in God. Like there's no place that he isn't. So that's seeing, touching, feel, and taste, that experience. But then where is he? And now this is not just with the ambiguous name God. This is with self also. SELF. We use this word self. I'm going to find my self. And who is self? Self is you. It's your entity. It's you. It's all around you. You can see it, right? Because when you're looking at reality, what you're seeing is your eyes. You're not seeing reality. Your eyes are sending you a message. Without those eyes, you wouldn't be able to see. So every moment that your eyes are awake, you're looking at yourself, right? This is why we look at the world and say we are one, right? We are united, because I can't look at the world without seeing myself. And people, you might say, man, well, hold on, Kevin, you're getting spooky. But just imagine this. Everything that you need to survive is where? Outside of yourself, physically, right? Outside of yourself. So when you see your food, you see you. Because when you eat your food, what does your food do? Turn into you. If you were to break your whole DNA, your whole anatomy down, the only thing that separates you from a pig or a dog is your mind. Your genetic makeup is that of many animal species. They have the same things in their skin, the same pigmentation. You can take a pig and they got the same consistency, really close to the same skin as a human being. Many things in common, actually. What separates us is our mind. But none of us can exist without nature. Think about it right now. You have ears solely so you can hear. That is the only reason that you have ears, right? Your ears work with this environment that you're in. Your ears vibrate sound down to your eardrum, right? And your brain works out the sounds, because there's no such thing as words. It's just sounds. And so we figured out how to identify and apply reason or meaning to sound. So now we have words. but it's just sounds. If I were to say "Dande uda uske me," you would say that's just sounds. That's because I'm not randoming spells that we've learned. You see what I'm saying? Now, what if I said "Dande es tu país"? Now, for many of you, that's just words. But for a person who's speaking Spanish, I just asked, "What country are you from?" You see what I mean? Thank you very much, Vicky. Actions speak louder than words. Took the words from my mouth. Look at see, Vicky can see into the future, and this is what I mean. We are so powerful in that way if we could truly understand ourselves. So your reality is really based off of you. You have eyes to see that break down the light that makes everything else around you visible. Right? You have a mouth to be able to breathe in oxygen, a nose and lungs to be able to process this oxygen and turn it and process it and push it through your blood vessels, so you can have energy and oxygen to survive. Now, without the world around you, there wouldn't be a you. So really, you're one. It's almost like saying you're separate from the cells in your body. You're not. Without you, you wouldn't have cells. You understand what I'm saying? Because your cells are built to survive so you can have in the environment that is you. Right? Now, the problem is our world becomes smaller because we start identifying, right? Let's just say you see the world as one big giant place, but then you find out you live in Kentucky, right? And then you find out Kentucky is in America. And then you find out Kentucky or America is in the West, right? And now all these different geographical locations begin to make you feel smaller. It's kind of like when you look out throughout the stars and you see all these galaxies and Milky Ways, it makes you start to feel more insignificant, right? Because we were taught that if you can't really explain something or something seems outside of you, then it's not you. But that's not true though, right? Air is you. Otherwise, it wouldn't work with your body, right? That's the only reason that it works with your body is because you're part air. You're mostly water. You see what I'm saying? So you're made up of many different things, although you can't see them. I think if we could see deeper, we could see all the molecules and things that make us up, we wouldn't feel so alone. You know what I mean? When we say, hey, I'm me. Who are you? Right? So needless to say, we're surrounded by this matrix. We go looking for self, this being that, number one, physically is all around you. You can't get away from it. And you can't escape your mind. It's always there, but you go to find it. Thank you very much, Lishan. Lishan said, bear with the God, y'all. Absolutely. Thank you, Lishan. And thank all you guys for your patience. So let's just talk about how our mind goes from being to having unlimited potential to being shrunk. In this video, I show you guys an experiment of where this scientist put fleas into a jar, and these fleas' ability to jump is limited because they've been closing this jar now for a period of time, and now they can no longer reach their actual height. Now, a flea can jump 14 inches. That is actually 200 times the size of a flea. Now, just imagine if a human being could jump 200 times his size, how high he would jump. Now, these fleas put in a jar, now their jumping abilities are limited. And it's not just the current fleas, it's with their offspring also. Now, just think about that for a moment. I'm going to pause. I'm not going to say a word for about 5 seconds. I want you to think about that for one moment. Not only the fleas' potential is completely limited, they can no longer reach their height and jumping ability, but their offspring from here on out, their potential will also be limited. What does that mean to you, family? How deep is that? Now, because here's the thing. Let's say we come in years after the fact, right? Decades after the fact even. Generations after the fact for fleas, in flea years, if you will. Because, the years tend to flee nowadays, right? That was corny. Bear with me. Bear with the gods, as Leon said. Absolutely. So now take these fleas, and this science project was done to your great grandparents. You never even knew about it. How would you know your jumping ability is limited? How would you know? You wouldn't, because everybody around you can only jump about that high. And that's still pretty high for your height. He took them down to about half the height. Thank you very much, Letitia. Actions speak louder than words. He took them down to about half the height, 7 inches now. How would you know? So how do we know that we haven't been tapered off mentally? Nikki, you didn't have to. See, Chanel just said it was bars. See, Nikki, you didn't have to come and verify that and validate. I didn't need that. But thank you. I love y'all, man. So just think about that for a moment. How do we know that this hasn't happened to us? Sounds like what slavery did to us. Enlightened. Look at that. You picked a good name for yourself. See how it hit right there. Sounds like what slavery did to us. Our mental capacity. And I'm talking about by shrinking your mental capacity, you also shrink the physical ability. Are you realizing this? These fleas were convinced that this is the roof and this is the limit. And now, off of pure mental taper, they can no longer jump. Now, just imagine how crazy this is, because you are your life. Think about this. If you become better, your life will reflect that. Why wouldn't it? This is why we say become the change that you want to see. The beautiful thing about human beings, man, is that, okay, let me just say this. We look at other animals, right? And we fantasize, we romanticize other animals at their abilities to be able to change the textures of their skin, you know, to be able to blend their skin with objects that they're sitting on, camouflage their skin, run at speeds of 65, 70 miles an hour, you know, jump to ridiculous heights, hold their breasts to ridiculous lengths, right? Animals can do amazing things, have coats that cannot be penetrated by 0-degree weather. You understand? And be moving around and swimming in water like it don't bother them, like layers of fat, and like it's crazy, right? But the thing about humankind, right? Who we identify as humans, right? But the thing about us, we subscribe to be evolution. We are evolution. We simply be. We simply are. So whatever we are, we have this unique ability that we don't need to conform to our environment. Our environment conforms to us. Think about how powerful that is. Name any other species, any other being that you can think of, any other animated being right now, that if they change, their environment would also change, other than human beings. There isn't one. If human beings right now evolved to another level of thinking and said, we don't want to burn fossil fuels and burn up the earth, our world, just to drive in cars, just to get on cell phones, we're going to create better ways so it doesn't, create, something tip of my tongue, I can't think of it, but you guys know what it's called whenever you're near a microwave, radiation. Absolutely. So we're going to create, cell phones that don't cause radiation and all this stuff and do all these things better. Would not the world immediately reflect that? It would. Right now, if our friends and families by the millions walked away from religion and stopped giving their money away to people who are robbing them blind, would our environment not immediately change? This is why we must go inside of our minds. But why are we so removed from it? And so in this video, I talked about what is the mind. The mind is what they call consciousness, or or just another synonym for it to make it simple is brain. Let me thank real quick Sean Elder, and thank you very much, Tim Thomas. Actions speak louder than words. I hear you, Tim. That's what many see us as. Perspective is key, right? So we're talking about how we got this mindset and what is the mind. A good synonym for mind is simply brain, right? So your mind isn't you. It is something that you possess, right? It's not you, right? So you have arms, you have a head, right? You have legs, and you have a mind, right? You have a mind. This is how you can change your mind. Your mind isn't you, but you are governed by your mind. If you are a sailboat, if you are the boat, the vessel, as we call ourselves vessel, just like boats are called vessels, your mind is the sails. You understand? So the sails are something that belong to you. So it's up to you to change the sails so you can change the course of your life. And it's crazy because I'm going to use this analogy of water a lot. So I want you guys to kind of lock that in your mind. And you guys, I promise you, that is a hard analogy. When you really consider that, you are the vessel and your mind is the sails. We're going to really make that popular, man. I'm already working on a shirt for that, man. I'm telling you, you the vessel, your mind is the sails. Just think about that for a moment. Just go off into Kevin's world with me. Just go off into Adventureland. You're off on nothing but water. That's all you can see. You have no navigation. You're just a vessel. Where can you go? Yeah, you're a boat. You're sturdy. You're not sinking under the water. You're staying afloat. You're doing the best you can. But can you move forward? No. Can you move out of the way of storms? Even though you see them coming, can you move? No, you can't. You're stuck in your situation. It's just you and the water. But if you how they say raise the sails, right? When they begin to raise those sails, now you have something to attach yourself to. Right now you have the wind to attach yourself to, and now you can get some movement, right? So your mind is your sails. If your sails are thrown off a degree, you can end up in somewhere total. And this is why you can say, like, okay, people go to religion for good reasons. They do. A lot of people go to religion for good reasons, but one step in the wrong direction can take you way off. You understand? Like people go to psychics to talk to their loved ones. They believe that their child is somewhere out there. They've passed on, but they believe that they can speak to them. Their voice is somewhere to be contacted or summoned or channeled. And so they go to these people, and this is not in evil on their part. This is genuine. It's love. They miss their relative, but they get used. And this is what I mean. One step in the wrong direction, in a way like that type of distance, when all you can see around you is water, you can end up miles away from your destination. So it's very key to get your sails right, get your mind right. But you got to first become lost, because you got to take those sails all the way down and realize the sails that you have, man, you ain't been working with them, right? You haven't. Whenever Lee Sean drives trucks, Lee Sean can tell you right now, okay? Lee Sean can tell you right now that he has to do a walk around his truck, an inspection around his truck every day before he takes off. Every day, right? Absolutely every day. Because he knows that if he leaves and that truck isn't correct and something breaks down, he's going to be held liable, especially if it was something that could have been checked before he left the place. So he's going to make sure check his tires. He's going to do everything. So we haven't been checking ourselves. We've been simply just going with the freaking wind. Just think about this, guys. We haven't been thinking at all, right? So just think about this. What the video was saying before I paused it, because of course the sound was just crazy. Somebody said it was scary. I agree. It was like, what was going on? But it was like, imagine being a baby and just being thrown into water. I told you guys a second ago, I'm gonna use some water analogies for you. You're thrown into water. You've never swam before. This water is cold. Even if it's room temperature, to you it's cold jumping in the water. You're cold. You don't know what the water is. All you know is that you need to breathe. So you struggle with everything in you to stay afloat. Just as other animals, when they're thrown in water, many of them can swim. They figure it out, right? They figure it out. So like this water, imagine this water as you swimming and the molecules going through your fingers and you trying to stay afloat. Imagine that water, every single drop of molecule of water is all the constructs of the world you were given. That is the philosophies that you were raised with, that your parents raised you in, whether they got them from a Bible, a Quran, no matter what, whatever religion that you were given, racism, right? The whole way you see the world, you're thrown into this water and you simply learn how to swim. And the problem is you forget that there's a such thing as land, right? And all you're doing is just staying in this water, and you learn how to swim, so you feel like it's fine, right? So I want you to understand that no one sat us down and taught us the matrix. We learned the matrix. We picked it up by simply learning to swim. There were things that I'm sure if we saw them now, we wouldn't think they were right. But because we're so desensitized to it, we overlook them. You see what I'm saying? And this is why we really need to rethink our reality, because we're contributing to our reality, because we're just as much a part, we're just as much an agent as we are Neo. You see what I'm saying? And it's time to separate the two. This is why I'm saying you have to become lost. Right now, many of you might, comment and give a shout out and say, hey, shouting you out from Africa. And I always appreciate all of that. So don't think I don't. But we love to identify where we're from. But where you from isn't you, right? And we've talked about this before on this show, that states don't exist, right? Streets don't exist. Cities don't actually exist. Cities, streets, states, they're all just paperwork inside of a courthouse. Okay, that's it. It's just land. That's all there is. People separate land. People agree on what's going to be territories and the boundaries for each land mass. You understand? So when you're driving down the road and you pass by a road that says, a sign that says, welcome to North Carolina, you didn't actually enter North Carolina. Okay, this is just something that we put up so you can have a sense of where you are, but you still don't know where you are. You see what I'm saying? So this is what we're trying to do. I'm trying to get you lost. I want you to understand that there is no such thing as streets. So you never really know where you are. You just feel comfortable because you have a navigation system telling you where to go when you drive. You feel comfortable because you're comfortable with your surroundings. You might think you live on Gwinnett Street or Main Street. You might think you're making a left on Walnut Street, but you're not. They're just labeled that. These are all things so you can find your way around. Well, in the same way words are used, so you can navigate your way through life. So the same way street signs, road maps, and things like that are made, they're made so you can navigate your way through this matrix, through this world, this reality we live in terms of driving on roads and knowing your geographical area. Well, in the same way, words are made so you can navigate the fake reality. You understand the fake reality. The same way you have a state, you have a page. The same way you have a city, you have a paragraph. The same way you have a street, you have a sentence, right? The same way you have an address, you have a word, right? So forth and so on. And as the words get bigger, there's more meaning to it. More meaning to it. But we learn to identify with words so much to the point to where we don't know the difference between a chair and wood, even if it's a chair made of wood. You understand what I'm saying? Our mind follows our matrix. If we see a chair completely carved of wood and someone says, "What is that?" You're not going to say wood. You're going to say a chair because that's what it is to you. And your matrix is a chair. What if I say, what if I show you something that seemed prehistoric, that seemed thousands of years old, and it was shaped like a cup? You're going to say that's a cup. Well, what if it isn't? What if they use that as a tool for something else? What if it wasn't a cup at all? What if it wasn't a vessel used for carrying something at all? What if it was used to flip upside down? You see? But we're going to call the things as we see them. I'm just giving y'all a moment to take some of this in because I know I'm being heavy with y'all. I know I'm being heavy with y'all. Air. What is air? Right? What is oxygen? We feel comfortable with it because we got a name to call it, but we don't really know what it is, right? We don't know. We're completely lost in this world. We know that water nourishes our body, but we don't know what it is. Not really. We don't. We don't even know why we really need it. We don't know why it makes up the majority of the earth or our bodies or most beings that are animated on this planet. We don't know why. We have literally no idea. So we have to start thinking to ourselves, okay, if I was thrown into if I was born and I wasn't thrown into this water, okay, what would my reality be like then? So your parents, whenever you're born to parents, right? You got two parents. One of them or somebody in your family is going to give you a name or an adoptee. You know, you're brought into this world through two beings though, right? And you're raised by maybe some different beings like I was, you know, but you're going to be given a name and you're going to be raised to identify that name. Listen, guys, if you guys have ever been through this, okay, if you ever did anything that would seem outside of your character, and your parents told you that that's not you, that's your brother, that's your sister, right? To try to push you back into your character. Like for me, they'd say, "That's not you, Kevin. That's Robert. That's not you. I didn't expect that from you. That's something I expect from Robert." Y'all parents ever do that to y'all? Make y'all feel like you gotta be you, whoever you are? Like me and my brother, we're brothers. How you know I don't do the same stuff? How you know I ain't just as sneaky? Don't tell me you expect that from Robert and not me. You don't know me, apparently. I just did it, apparently. Don't say that's not me. Apparently it is me. What if it's more me than Robert? What if Robert saw me doing it and getting away with it, but just wasn't as good at it? You see my point? But this is what happens. Our parents do this and they push us into being a certain character. So our mentality, our mind is literally shaped and molded for us. So much to the point that where we actually think that we are our name. We literally believe that we are our name, you know? And so if like people say, put some respect on my name, you know what I mean? And this is like, put some respect on me, on my person. But you know, when we say person, we're talking about you, your physical body, ego, right? Who you think you are, your physical being. But person comes from the word persona, meaning personality. So your person isn't your vessel. Your person is your personality. So if you never knew Ricky and you just saw his face here, you wouldn't know his person at all, nor would you see his person. You see a vessel, and until he shows you himself, his person, his persona, you have no idea who he is. And that is even if you're looking at Ricky and he is unfamiliar, and I say his name was Ricky, what does that tell you about him? Nothing other than his name is Ricky, right? That's all you got. If I told you his address, if I told you he had a son, right? If I told you that, he'd been married, if I told you different details about him, still, what would it tell you about Ricky? It still doesn't tell you if he's funny, if he has a good sense of humor, if he's patient, if he's kind, what religion he subscribed to. None of that, because I didn't give you anything mental to tie him to. Now, if I said he's a Muslim, that would give you a whole lot, because now you have at least where his mental capacity is headed, right? You have his mental direction, you have his philosophy, right? You have his moral code. Something's got Ricky going crazy. Maybe
said,
what that big of a deal.
You said I was a Muslim, bro.
Oh yeah, okay. But at least then you would get a sort of an aspect as to how this person thinks. But check this out. I could look at Ricky and I could say, where does he live? Well, he lives in America. Oh, well, I know America is plagued with systemic racism, right? So I could almost kind of statistically find Ricky a little bit. I can kind of find maybe what he's going through by understanding his surroundings, right? But I still don't know Ricky, because I don't know how Ricky responds to his surroundings, right? Like they say, there's no difference in between. It's about, like they say, it's about who you are. If you put an egg and a potato in boiling water, the egg will harden and the potato will soften. So it's not about the condition that you're in. It's about how you are in the condition. So it's about what you made of. You see what I'm saying? So even if I could see a lot of the challenges that Ricky may possibly face, that still doesn't tell me who Ricky is. You see what I'm saying? You'd have to get to know this person. And this is what I mean. How many times have we saw someone and assumed that we freaking knew them? Think about this, guys. How many times have you saw someone and felt fear? You don't know why you felt it. You just felt fear. You don't realize that you're programmed, that you were taught when you see that black face, even if you identify as black. So when we talk like this, a lot of people may think that we're only talking about someone who doesn't identify as black as having a natural, or not, it's not natural, but an unnatural fear for people who identify as black. Even people who identify as black have an unnatural fear with people who identify as black, because it's programming. You're afraid of what they tell you to be afraid of. So black people can subconsciously or unconsciously present themselves to a black person as if, they're skeptical of them. And if you disagree, let me know. If you've never done it, let me know. But I've done it. I mean, I done been somewhere and saw a black dude and be like, somebody might walk by, be close to me, and I check and see if my wallet's still in my pocket or something, and then they have to be like, then I have to apologize to myself, because it's not my doing, it's my mind. It's separate from me. I didn't do it. I'm not to blame, but my mind taught me to do that, and I have to be careful. I have to challenge my mind, right? This is the way we have to be.
Yo, Kel, let me make a point to something you just said, brother.
Absolutely.
Like you was just saying, like when people see you and they don't know anything about you, they just know a few things, and it almost seems like they know you. I get that all the time. Like when people like encounter me or we have some type of interaction, they always say, "Man, you must have had great parents." Or your mother raised you well. I'm like, my mother didn't raise me at all. Like, I didn't have parents. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but they never know that, but they automatically assume it because I'm so respectful and I'm so, I conduct myself a certain way. But they would have no idea of how I was raised and the things that I went through in my childhood and the things that I had to endure. But they just automatically assumed I had these great parents just because of the way that I conduct myself, and it's entirely false.
Ricky, I'm the same way. People always assume that that I had great parents and all that kind of stuff. And when I tell them my story that I lived on my own since I was 14, they're like, no way. You know what I'm saying? 14, 15, something like that. They're like, no way. That's crazy. You know, why you didn't turn out to be like you nice, you kind. You would think that, you know, in my life, you know, I guess I developed my philosophy young, and it was just to be better to people than they were to me. And that didn't even come from a Bible. You know, I started going to church heavy around 14 or 15. So I got taken to church, you know, with my grandmother when she was alive, but it was rarely. My grandmother was religious, but she was more superstitious than anything. So she was very, very superstitious. But she was religious too. So I always went to Bible school every summer. We'd go to Sunday school at church sometimes. We walk down the street, go there. It was an old school church she'd take me to. They'd be singing hymnals and just scaring me in there. When I first started going out shouting and stuff used to scare me. And that kind of just shows how you get used to swimming, right? Thank you very much, Charles McCullough. Actions speak louder than words. That just shows how you get used to swimming. You get used to the matrix you live in. When you first in church and they singing those hymnals and shouting and speaking in tongues, it's scary. But then you get used to it to the point you start copying them do it. And then you start thinking it feel good and look good and sound good. Like Claudia always messing around, right? Claudia always messing around. It's like she'll start speaking in tongues, right? Even now, supposed to be awake, but she be still letting the Holy Spirit take over and crap. But she obviously she's joking when she does it, but she'll just break out and do it, right? And it's funny because it actually still sounds good. She's good at it, right? She's really good at it. So you can tell she used to be all fake in church, you know. But she probably thought she was real at the time, you know, thought she was letting the Lord use her to deliver a holy word, you know. But speaking in tongues sounds good, right? When somebody can sing and you can hear them with both shot under it sounds good. Why does that sound good? Think about it. Now, and for people who may be religious on here, don't think that that's only your religion. I could show you Muslims chanting, and it is absolutely breathtaking. It's absolutely beautiful, man. If you didn't know it was worship to another god or to another religion, you would think it was beautiful too. You know what I mean? Thank you very much, Terry McCullough. He says, thank you, guys. I want to give a shout out to Ricky, Charles, and Queen Vanessa for their support in my time of need. That's awesome. That's awesome. See, actions speak louder than words. We got each other. So just the same way Ricky said that, you know, people thought that he had great family members and thought he had all this and that, and he didn't. You know, he definitely, you know, he grew up in a way that you wouldn't have put your finger on, you wouldn't have guessed. So what does that mean? So it's not wise to judge someone by how they look. You know, I mean, the thing is, man, we're so unprepared for this, for what I mean. I would say we're all unprepared for what, you know, what I'm offering, this deprogram, because given to you at one time, man, you would feel completely lost, like you was losing your mind, because by the time we get finished, you're going to find that you have removed your whole paradigm. Nothing will be looked at the same anymore. You know, there has to be a point to where we break away from words. And just speaking of breaking away from words, because this is how we're going to be able to free our minds. We always talk about words as being spells, right? Words are spells. Well, why do we say that? Are we really saying that words cast spells, right? Seam, solid beam. If y'all remember Johnny Quest a long time ago, a cartoon where Haji was a mystic, right? And he would say seam, solid beam, and it was kind of like saying abracadabra, and he would be casting spells and making stuff move and stuff open up. If y'all remember Johnny Quest, let me know. But if anything where you see someone casting a spell, like on movies, you notice they always have a spell book, right? They always have a spell book, always. They put their little incense around the room. They put their salt on the floor. all this good stuff, right? But they always read their spells from a book. Now, I want you to take this mental picture. What if they're always holding a book because it's subliminally to let you know that spells are just words? When you read from a book, it's convincing, right? Many of us came away from religion, so we know what that can be like by simply reading something and being convinced of it, right? Peace, Callie. I see you, big dog. Seam, solid beam, or abracadabra, you can have a spell put on you. I could prove it. I could walk through Walmart or any store for that matter and walk up to random people and act completely startled when I'm next to them and tell them that they have a spider on them. Yeah, see, Nick remembers Johnny Quest. I could tell them they have a spider on them, and they'll start patting and flicking their hair and neck and taking their hats off, taking their clothes off, and running around acting frantic. And if I take off and run, like, don't knock it on me, they'll probably worry about that spider all day long. I just put a spell on them. Now, what you would say is, well, you lied to them. Well, you tricked them. Well, you deceived them. Well, those are just other words we use. No, I didn't say abracadabra. That's not what spells are. Spells are words in which you understand. This is why when I tell you that you ugly, it hurts your feelings. When someone tells you that you're fat, right, that your hair is nappy, that you're too black, something that's negative. When someone says something to you and it hurts you, this is why it hurts, because you understand the spell. If they said it to you in a different language, you would have no clue what they were saying. It wouldn't bother you. It wouldn't. You would not know what they were saying. I've seen people, man, I used to work with a whole lot of Hispanic people, and people would always be trying to get them to teach them Spanish. And these dudes is just full of crap. They always just buttholes deep down. The ones I work with, they just, and I say that in a funny, joking way, because what they would do is they would give you something else. They would tell you what you were saying was something good, but they were really giving you like cuss words and like disgusting stuff to say, and have you walking up to other Spanish people saying this crap, right? So go over to them and tell them this right here. What this mean? How do you say this in Spanish? How you say find the bathroom in Spanish or whatever? And they'll tell you something totally different and how you running out. And they think it's funny when you go off offending some other Hispanic person speaking in Spanish and you ain't know what you was talking about. You see what I'm saying? So that just proves that the spell skipped you because they told you something different. You see, they gave it to someone else who understood that spell. We talk about it all the time. Like, thank you very much, Lorenzo. Actions speak louder than words. Good to see you, by the way. We talk about it all the time, how we use these different, how we use different things to manipulate and control people. You know, think about it, man. I was watching. There was a TV show. I can't think of the name of it, but it's got like, dang, I can't think of the name of it, or any character in it for that matter. It's got Sinbad in it, I think. New show. Thank you very much, Brian Caldwell. Actions speak louder than words. Pretty new show. But either way, he plays a couple of characters, and he's playing this preacher. And he walks inside this girl's shop, and he gets this robe, the preaching robe with the crosses on it, and he just gonna walk out the store with it. Just walk right out of the store, right? And she goes, "What you doing, Lil Real? Yeah, what you doing?" And he was like, "I was hoping to get the passing discount." What you mean, like just walk right out the store? He was like, "Yeah." And then he explains to her, "Well, you know, God will bless you, you know, and I have a large congregation. If I say where I got this from, every preacher in the state will come in here wanting to, you know, get something from you or whatever." And then he said, then she's still looking at him. She didn't respond. And then he offers to cleanse her of all of her sins, you know, where he pray for her and, you know, redeems her soul or whatever to get this robe. And you guys don't think that happens. You're crazy. You understand? People cast spells on people all the time. I'm going to do a small video about it, but I'm sure a lot of you guys saw that preacher talking that woman out of her panties, telling her that he had some panties that he had prayed over that was going to heal her vagina or heal her stomach, whatever she was ailing from. He told her to take off her current panties and let him put the new panties on. Did y'all see that crap? Telling her to put the new, let me put them on you, cause when I do it, the spirit or something about it. It was like just you could just tell that he was making it up as he went along. He ain't even had a spell written well, and it worked because she believed in who he supposedly served. You see what I'm saying? So it didn't even make sense, right? We've seen preachers molest and rape women and children and talk them out of telling by convincing them that the devil did it. And that's what the devil wants, is for you to ruin the ministry. Don't let the devil, take this moment of a mistake and ruin everything that we work for. We got so many people depending on us, like, and people will really not tell on the pastor. Spells, they can be cast. Beware of them. And this is why you must always check your references. You must always follow up with people telling you, man. Always. So you're not easily deceived and just tossed to and fro, right? Raise your sails up. Somebody type in raise your sails. Type that in for me. Raise your sails. SAILS. We ain't trying to get sales right now. SALES. But we try to get raise your sails. Thank you very much, Michelle Madison. Actually speak louder the words. Thank you. Good to be heard. It's actually good to be on here. Can't wait to be seen. I was telling Ricky earlier, Michelle, that I like actually being on camera more. It makes me feel like I'm more of a part of the show. This makes me feel like I'm being interviewed on a radio station or something. Raise your sails. There you go. I see y'all typing it in. There you go. Raise your sails, y'all. Get your mind right. And look at Shondale. Raise your sails. CELLS. See, that right there is just, he changed the spell, and that changed the entire meaning. You understand? Raise. Now this is crazy because I'm going to show y'all some bars with this. Raise your sails. CELLS. Cells are batteries, right? Raise your sails. Your sails are your vibration, your energy level, right? Raise your energy, which is ultimately your intellect. This is why they tell you sun gaze. The more sun you bring in, right, the smarter you become, the more energy that you have. When you're sleepy, more tired, your brain gets weaker, right? When you're more energized, your brain gets stronger. This is simple. Now watch this. I'm going to change that phrase again. RAYS, your sails. Raise your sails. Go out in the sun and raise your sails, right? Get some sun rays in your sails and get elevated. It all means the same thing, because if you get sun rays in your sails, you will ultimately raise your sails, CELLS, which will raise your intellect, or AISE, your SAILS, raise your sails. And if you was in sails, then your sails will rise too. Bars. But that's what I mean by cast a spell.
All right, Kev, before you go into your next point, let me say something real quick. Fam, King Cali is in the chat. He just put out a movie on YouTube called Slim Chance. When you get the opportunity, please go check out that brother's movie and support the King with that production. It took him a couple years to film that movie. Has his family in it, friends, local people from Cleveland, and also the ATL. So please go support that brother. Those views on that film should be a lot higher than what they are now. So I encourage you, when you get the opportunity, please support the King and go watch Slim Chance on YouTube. Okay, that's all I gotta say, man. Go ahead, bro.
All right, I'm back. Sean Elder said, "Oh, you a rapper. Man, you don't even know, bro. I amaze myself. Let me tell y'all this line I came up with the other day. I'm talking about, obviously, you know, um, becoming enlightened and no longer worshiping a God outside myself. So I said, it is I who I reverence, right? It is I who I reverence. And then I said, I got the gift of rap. If I bow up, they will bow down in my presence. Now I'm gonna tell you how much bars that is, okay? I got the gift to rap. Now because when you rap a gift, right? I got gift rap, right? Gift to rap. So I have the gift to rap. WRAP. If I bow up, bow is when you flex, right? But bow, you put it on a gift, don't you? Right? If I bow up, they will bow. Bow is spelled the same way, BOW. And they will bow down where? In my presence, right? They will bow down in my presence. Now watch this. Here's why that's bars. When you go to a Christmas tree, Do you not bow down in its presence? This is why you worship the Christmas tree. You are bowing down in its presence just to get the gift, right? So I got the gift of rap. When I bow up, they will bow down in my presence. Do you not understand? That's the whole. See how crazy I'm going. Like I lose my voice. It start peaking. I get silly because it's just bars. It's just, yeah, I'm a rapper. Y'all didn't know? Look, Marcus Johnson. Man, I got them for days, bro. If I let me just show you, man, because y'all done got. I'm about to show y'all something. All right, so y'all about to get something, man. So when you listen to my music, and y'all need to go ahead and go to iTunes and stuff and get to Awoke, because that's just a taste of what y'all gonna be getting. All of my songs are spell breakers. I am the destroyer of illusions. Please understand. Listen to my music, man, and we can set you free to some beats, right? Watch this. Hang on. Let me just get to this, because y'all gonna be like, man, this is crazy. This dude really went in. Ain't going. I'm coming up to it. I just want to make sure I give y'all that same one that has that in there. So I got so many bars here, but I can't find it. But look, check this out. So I got one here where I ain't gonna get my bars away, man. People are probably listening. Go take my stuff. Y'all want some bars or nah? Because we can get right back to the broadcast. I don't want to kill it. I think we still going super duper strong.
Yeah, release it in a song later, bro.
Yeah, that's what I think I'm gonna do, man. Somebody said turn my music up. Yeah, I can freestyle. Yeah, Alicia said, "Kid, man, listen, y'all. When I was young, man, my life was so hard, and so like all I would do, man, is I would draw and write poems. Uh, I would write away my problems, and so they would be in the form of poems, And I didn't know I could rap, until I would start saying them out loud and stuff like that. And so it's amazing how your environment. I learned to swim. You see what I'm saying? And that's what I mean, guys. It's like a lot of people hear me rap and they're like amazed by it. Like, man, dang, dude, you could be signed. I spent my life in religion, so I didn't dedicate my life to that. I felt like that was arrogant. I shouldn't pursue anything in my self-interest, just celebrating and elevating, what I thought was God at the time. But my whole thing is we all have a certain amount of potential. We all have a certain amount of potential. And when your brain is limited, you're not tapping into that potential. So you're leaving a whole lot of life to live, right? So you might get 60 years, but you might have left 50 good years on the table because you only gave 1% of potential, because you was that flea that was held back mentally. You see what I'm saying? Your mind had a spell cast on it. When you cast a spell, you cast the spell out at the victim, and now their mind, as a result, has a cast on it, right? And becomes broken due to you casting a spell on it. And so now here you are, lost, potential's limited, and you're not giving of yourself. And then you wonder why your life isn't happy, why you feel empty. But is it empty? Are you really empty, or are you full? I would venture to say that when you feel empty, it's because you're full. You just were taught to spell it as empty, to cast a spell as I feel empty inside. No, you're full. There's so much potential in you that you have yet to put out in the world. And once you do that, karma is, this is you. Results will happen. Now me and my situation, I wrote songs. Look at what it did. It caused me to be very talented with words, right? Very well spoken, because I wanted to express myself. You know what I mean? I had something to say or whatever, and it pushed this out of me. So whenever, if you do write, if you do blog, if you do anything where you create, if you make designs or whatever, if you draw, whatever it is that you do, whenever you do what you do, are you just conjuring it up out of nothing, or is it coming out of you? When you write, are the words coming out of nowhere, or are they pouring out of you onto the page? Think about this. You have to first think the word, and then your brain tells your hand to write the word. Where is it coming from? Well, the paper bone's connected to the pencil bone. The pencil bone's connected to the finger bone. The finger bone connected to the hand bones. And it goes all the way up the arm, right? But you're more than your epidermis, right? You're more than your arm. You're more than the muscles and ligaments in your arm. You're more than the bones, right? You are the entity that is controlling this epidermis, these ligaments, this muscle, these tendons, these bones. So where are the words coming from? Outside of you. I said outside of you. Inside of you. The words are coming from inside of you. You understand? And so does everything. The way you think about the world. What do you think those thoughts are coming from? What do you think that's coming from? Inside of you. Your projection of the world comes from inside of you. If you see white and you think it's pure, then that's your silly programming. If you think it's holy, then that's your silly programming. If you see the color black and you think it's cursed, that is your silly programming. It's not, it's just a color. And it's not even that. It's a signal that your eyes are sending to your brain when light reflects off of it, and you interpret it as a color.
Yeah, it's the same with superstition, man. Like people, certain numbers, like the number 13 is unlucky. You know what I mean? Like just it's just it's a bunch of nonsense, man. People, just superstitious.
Absolutely. And it's not well thought out. And here we are, like I did a video, if you guys saw it, on stomping on the devil in church. Just like that, we go with the flow. We don't think about what we're doing. And here we are carrying out someone else's matrix, and it shapes how we literally see the world. This is why we say if you change you, you change the world. This is why working on you, it should be priority over everything else. Some of us, we have a tendency to get connected to broken people, and we're always finding ourselves in those situations because we love to be useful, we love to be important, and we love to help people, right? And so we always find ourselves in situations like that, but we mostly, a lot of us forget to work on ourselves. And if you don't work on yourself, then your life will never change, right? How can you move forward without yourselves? You have to work on yourselves.
Yo,
Right.
Kev,
I'm not saying sales with a V. I'm saying your sales. Right. You have to work on them. You got to get them aligned.
Right. Get your mind right. What you saying, Ricky?
No, I was saying you got everybody working on wordplay, man. Everybody in the chat doing a little play on words. What Charles? What was that? Charles McCullough. He had one. He said go for days. He said 4 days, like you in a daze. Then he said 4 days, the number 4 days. Then he went 4 days, like so he did a wordplay on that. And like I did a video like probably like last year where I says you are God, YOU then your God. You see what I'm saying? And then you your God. So all three of those are to me like one and the same. Your God, you are God, and your God. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it's all the same. So we all got that. We all got that word played.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, go ahead with your words.
I like that though. It's kind of like when you work 5 days straight, you in a weekdays, right? And after those 5 days, you weekend. You weakened. you work 5 days, you in a weekdays, and then after those 5 days, you weakened. You're at the weekend, right? And then when you get your earnings, because what's a earn except for something to carry ashes in, right? Ain't that something?
There you go.
I find it funny. I always talk about how like a job is called a job, Job, a job, And who is Job but someone who constantly got things taken from him by a source that he couldn't argue or debate with and refused to question? Who is your job but that same source and the government that's attached to it to take money out of your taxes and all, but a source that you can't argue or debate with, and they're gonna take your money regardless and take whatever from you regardless. You go to a Job, right? And you most of y'all go in the morning when you wake up, like a morning at a funeral, you mourn, right? When you wake up and you work for 5 days, you on a weekdays, you work to the weekend, your weekend, you get a paycheck, which is your earnings. And what do you put in the urn? Ashes, which is what you would also mourn at a wake. Play on words. But it's more to it than that, you know? Like with words, they can hold you back. They can propel you forward if you know how to use them. They're only tools. So just think of this. Imagine a world where there was no such thing as measurements, right? Like right now, an inch doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a foot. There's no such thing as a kilometer, a mile. There's no such thing as a yard. All these things, we don't have these things. Could we still operate in this matrix? Absolutely. But we've learned to use those things so much that we think they exist. We think inches exist. We think foot exist, right? In terms of a measurement, right? So I put a plural on it because I'm talking about measurement, not actual extremities of your body, okay? So they don't exist. It's regulated. You understand what I'm saying? So we're trying to measure nature with something that's regulated. What does regulated mean? It means that we've created it to be regular. So when you hear an inch, we know what an inch is. Yes, Noah sailed on a boat at 15 cubits. Absolutely, Sean. What is 15 cubits? 1.5 feet, right? That's what cubits were in the Bible. 1.5 feet. Now a yard is 3 feet. Now we know these measurements. These are regulated measurements, right? So we're measuring nature with regulated tools. So if you say this tree is 150 feet tall, that's not true. It's absolutely not true. That's our paradigm. That's our matrix. So just the same way, you can't identify people as black, white, Mexican, all this other stuff. You're identifying them with a landmass, a geographical landmass. So if you identify someone who he's African, there's no such thing. Africa comes from the name of a conqueror who Africa was named after. So there's no such thing as being an African. You see what I'm saying? If you identify so much with these things, you become stuck in one place when you should be lost. Think about this. There are pyramids all over the planet, huge, beautiful structures that are all over the planet. But we more so resonate with the ones that are in Egypt. Why? Because that's the ones that we are shown. That's the ones we know more about. But they're everywhere. So there's no need to identify with Egypt. You can love Egypt. You can think that it's a mysterious, beautiful place, a place that should be, delved into for information, right? So we can move forward because that's one of the places that we have a lot of access. Well, we have, not all of us have access to it, but some people have access to it and things like that. We get an inside scoop where some of the pyramids we haven't really been inside or have access to and footage of. But there's so many everywhere. We're everywhere. We're not just one place. You see what I'm saying? And this is why I say when you look at water, think of water. If you were to try to take water and hold it into your hand, it would slip out, wouldn't it? So would this matrix. These words are not real. They would slip right through your hands. They're not real. They're not really tangible objects. They're just ways of understanding. They're just ways of communicating. And sometimes we get moved way far left and way far right in a matter of emotions based on what someone said. And what I'm trying to do is get us to a place to where words no longer move us. The only thing that move us is our own goals, our own mind, our own philosophy, right? Our own navigation. Nothing anybody else can say can sway me, can stop me, because I don't understand words anymore. I went crazy. I lost my mind. Kevin lost his mind. He went crazy. He no longer understands plain English anymore. He no longer understands words anymore, right? If you're saying something negative to me, to try to shun me or get me to not do something or whatever, or to try to offend me in any way, I don't understand the spell that you're saying, right? Because I understand that they're just spells. Once you understand that, spells no longer have power. You ever notice how when you see a magic trick, when you see the process of the magic trick, it's no longer magic. Isn't that crazy? So when you see the process of a spell, you recognize that it's not a spell anymore. You have now outgrown that spell. You are beyond it. Remember back in the day when you would get mad at poopy head? That's because you were at an age where your mental intellect was below the casting of that spell. You were weak. You were frail minded, right? You were what we call childish. Now, many of you guys would probably still get angry if you were called that, and if not that, something else. And you may argue that something else is worse than that. And how wise would that be? That they're both words, they're both man-made words, both given identification to them. Would you say the Bible is worth more than Spider-Man comic? You wouldn't, right? You would say they're both man-made. It's what you put into it. There are people who collect Spider-Man comics religiously and save them and make money off of them and sell them for more than the Bible ever would sell. To them, Spider-Man comics are very valuable, right? But you outgrew Poopy Head, right? Patient said Poopy Head, right? You outgrew that. Somebody walked up to you and called you Poopy Head, you would be like, what? Like you would like literally be like a grown man walk up to you and say, you freaking poop. Just imagine right now. You see two grown men arguing, right? Like two big dudes arguing, yelling in the parking lot. And one would be like, you poopy head. You would be like, what the heck am I watching right now? And just imagine dude saying, what? And he just punched him and knocked him out. Like, what you just don't nobody call me a poop and everybody holding him back. Like, don't nobody call you would think that was stupid. Like you would think, what the heck is wrong with you? You need help, dude. He just called you a poopy head. Like you are cynical, bruh. But what if he called you an MFer? See, you would think that, well, wait a second. Oh, that make more sense. Why? Because you were taught that make more sense? This is what I'm telling you. Break away from the matrix. Words don't count. They don't matter. They don't matter. I didn't say they don't have meaning. They don't matter. What does matter? Anything that takes up space, right? Anything solid. Words don't have mass. Words do not matter. They don't. You can't touch words. They don't take up space, y'all. So if it don't take up space, then why is it holding you back? Why is your name holding you back? Why, if you change your name, your parents will get upset? Why would they feel offended that you changed your name? Why do they feel that they have to identify with your name being your name? Why? Just think about just if you were a parent and this beautiful name that you thought of when you looked through Google, when you was pregnant with your baby, right? And people was coming up to you telling you what you should name your baby, and you was thinking about all these names that ain't familiar, and you thought of some pretty names, then you knew somebody you didn't like that had that name. You know the process, right? So you come up with this name that you choose for your child. It means something to you. Why it gotta mean something to your child? See, I named my son Israel, the man who was strong enough to wrestle with God. See, Jacob came to a place where he was tired of stealing from people. He was tired of doing people dirty, being a freaking con artist. The name Jacob means con artist. The Bible says he was tired and he laid his head on a stone, right? It's ironic they said stone, and Jacob called that place pineal, which is the pineal gland. But Jacob had an encounter face to face with God. And he said, this place is where I saw God, and he wrestled with God. And God had to break this man's hip to get Jacob to yield. And Jacob still wouldn't. They asked, will you let me go? And Jacob wouldn't let go. And he said, I won't let go until you bless me. Not until you bless my soul. And God changed his name to Israel, which is strong enough to wrestle with God. Right? Isis, Ra, and Elohim. He enlightened at that moment. I named my son that, not for enlightening reasons, because I really believed that Israel existed. Okay? Now, let's just say my son grows up and he says, I don't like that name. I actually don't care. You see what I'm saying? I don't identify with that as in my son has to keep that name. If my daughter wants to change her name, that's not going to offend me. Her mother came up with that name. Nah, I'm just playing. Man, if you watch it, hopefully it wouldn't offend you too. You're an enlightened being as well. Now, see, now watch this though. But my daughter's middle name is Elaine, my mother's name, and that meant something to me. You see, so if my daughter came to me and said, "Daddy, I don't like my middle name," I might say, that might hurt me. That might make me feel some kind of. But that would be my own mind, my own problem. See, and I would know that. But that spell would be like coming from my daughter. I'd be like, "How you don't like that? Man, that's my mother's. That's my mama. I don't even know my mama." You see what I'm saying? But that name's special because that's my mama name. Like, you know what I mean? And so I named my daughter that. All of my siblings named their daughter's middle name Elaine, except for my brother. He broke the spell. He broke the pattern. And we was all like, we was all actually upset. Like, bro, how come you didn't? He was like, man, I named my daughter what I want to name. We was like, bro, what we always doing. We thought he went like against the grain, like wrongly. Man, what he didn't have any he didn't have to do that. You know, that was all our mindsets. Listen, guys, the longer we identify with things like this and expect people to identify with things like this is an element of what ends up ultimately being control. What you don't understand, I said in the beginning of this episode, is that thing you go searching high and low for. You guys remember The Last Dragon, where Bruce Leroy went looking for some dumb guy? Remember The Last Dragon, where he's like, "Who got the power?" And at the end, he caught his fist and was like, "I am." Or who's the master? And then he catches his fist at the end and says, "I am." Who remembers The Last Dragon with Bruce Leroy? He goes on this journey to find some dumb guy, right? And he understands that some dumb guy didn't even exist. He went on this search to find his master, his teacher, and realized that his teacher was himself. It was him the whole time. See, and we go on these journeys this whole time. Sure enough, absolutely. He went on, and that's so esoteric too. The sheer color of his glow when he glowed showed that he had enlightened. Y'all see that purple? You notice that? You see the color of sure enough was that yellow, that lower chakra color, the same color of Killmonger. He was yellow, the color of that sacral chakra, right? And then what was Black Panther, when he got hit, it turned purple. They enlightened. They trying to tell you something, but you ain't listening. You see, because you blinded by your matrix. You blinded by your reality. Colors mean something, but red don't just mean passion. You understand? Red means something deeper. Purple don't just mean royalty. It means something else. Purple is an ultraviolet light, the highest vibrating light. This is the color that it gives off. So this is why it's looked to as an aspect of higher vibration, because the faster light is bouncing off of something, that's the higher it's vibrating, right? So the higher the light's vibrating, the different the color spectrum is. This is why when you see something that's purple, it's reflecting purple. It's a higher vibration to you, and your mind just reads it as purple. So if you could see vibration, you wouldn't see color. So if you was looking at, you remember how on the Matrix when IPOC, I think his name was looking at numbers, and he was saying, "You just see numbers. I see a beautiful woman in a red dress." You remember that, Ricky? He could see it. He just saw numbers. But I could see see, when you watch the movie, you just see numbers. But I see the whole code because I've taken the time to become better, to strengthen my mind, right? To change my mind and understand esoteric teachings and understand symbolism, occultic symbolism, and astrotheology. I know all of that stuff like the back of my hand. I actually love that stuff. It's like children love Pokemon, right? And I'm telling you right now, think about your children, how they can learn all these different Pokemon characters and Dragon Ball Z characters and know what every Super Saiyan is and every Goku. Man, listen, man, they know it all. Have the cards, can tell you who Bulbasaur is and who everybody, right? And we don't think they can learn this stuff. We haven't taught our children about chakras, and I don't mean teaching them about chakras as in you have, 9 centers of energy in your. I'm talking about teaching them the meaning of chakras to help them be able to relate it to their life. This is what I'm saying. Break the spell down so they can be able to understand it and comprehend it. Tell them why that lower chakra is red in nature. Why the color of it in representation is red. That they're not actually walking around with a red circle in their lower abdomen. You understand? Explain to them the things that it represents and what that next color represents and how you get there, right? The things you focus on to open that chakra so they can understand the reality and get a philosophy about their life, because they can understand it at a young age the same way they understand what you think Naruto is, what you think Avatar is. All that stuff is just chakras. Your child right now would understand chakras fully if you just gave them a basic lesson before they watch the series of Avatar the Airbender. And by the end of Avatar the Airbender, they would know a whole lot more about chakras. That's really all it's about. Like, Avatar gets his powers from his chakra. As a matter of fact, Naruto, I think they call their power chakra. They actually call it chakra. And it's about channeling the energy that is within you and projecting it on your reality. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of us are not doing that. We're not channeling our chakra into our reality. We have all this potential that some of us are like, man, I want to start a business. Some of y'all are thinking, I should have done this, I should have done that. And it's still inside of you. Get it out. Or it's not going to yield a return. Like, if you don't plant the seed, how can you expect to be? You can either learn to plant in the spring or learn to beg in the winter. Somebody write that down. Because that's bars. You can either learn to plant in the spring or learn to beg in the winter. It's your choice. Somebody type that in for me. Learn to plant in the spring or beg in the winter. It is your choice. Right? I have found myself begging in the winter. See, Kevin is not too high that he can't admit it. All this is coming from 3 months, guys, of being on my back, right? Just being in thought. You think I want to be in the position that I'm in, needing you guys' help? I love you guys. Don't get me wrong. But I don't want to need y'all help. Nobody wants to need someone else's help. So I look back at my karma. Karma is not what comes around goes around. So because we know that's not what always happens. Karma is, this is you. This is your doing. This is your doing. When you look at a test score, that's your doing. This is karma. This is a review of oneself. This is your appraisal. So I look at my reality and I realize I have no sources of income other than the people that help me. And I say, this is karma, because religion blinded my mind so badly that I'm trying to help everybody and didn't turn anything that I was doing into a real business to try to take care of myself, knowing that you guys needed this to continue. I know that it's needed for the world. I enjoy doing it. Why wouldn't I create a way to monetize this? But I'm so much of a minister because when I was in church, I never collected money. I saw what I was doing solely as something that was for God being used. And so I took that same mindset to this with no thought for how I was going to eat. And then I'm begging for food. Or obviously I'm not begging, but I'm in a position where my hand is out. I'm looking at my karma and I'm realizing, Kevin, you could have done some things differently. But I'm also in a position where I'm saying, Kevin, you about to do some things differently. You see, because when you be better, your situation will be better. Be better. Become. If you want to see yourself somewhere, just simply become that it will become part of your reality. But you got to get that. You got to be willing to unlock that potential and just not leaving it deep inside of you to the point where you feel the opposite, which is empty. If you notice, whenever you giving of yourself, you feel full. Many of y'all remember this. Many of you guys remember being in religion and getting up on stage, saying something, teaching, singing, dancing, whatever you were doing for God, right? Prophesying, whatever you was doing, whatever you thought you were doing for God. You knew you felt fulfilled in your life when you were being used. You knew you did. You did, even when your life wasn't even lining up with, I'm talking about economically. You were struggling economically, still to pay your bills, still giving the church your money. But the simple fact that you were active in church, doing something for the community that you thought you felt fulfilled. And it wasn't because you felt like God loved you. It's just because you were doing something that you enjoyed doing. You were helping someone. And I used my talents to serve who I thought was God. So I was rapping, but I was only rapping in the church. I was only rapping in churches. I wouldn't release an album out because I thought my pastor, the way he would word it to me was like, we don't seek our own, success. God will open the door for you and all this stuff. And so I wouldn't put my albums out and stuff like that, but I definitely had them. You know, I definitely go to different churches and sell my CD when I was there and stuff like that. But I'd never ask for money up front to go perform or anything. I just say, can I sell my CD when I get there? And sometimes they say, yeah. And when I did, I take my CD with, make sure I had enough copies, things like that. And I kind of made a living doing that. I never took money from a church or anything in any way. I never got paid as a youth pastor or anything. But I stayed selling Christian CDs, my Christian rap CDs and things like that. So, even then, I was selling them large in part because my job didn't pay enough. So I was using what was inside of me to create an income. Somewhere along the lines, I forgot how to do that. You see what I'm saying? I should have been put an album out and had you guys support it. It's like I have a platform to advertise it on. What the heck is wrong with you, Kevin? Right? Thank you so much, Vanessa. Actions speak louder than words. But I'm a little hard on myself. They say that's a Virgo trait. When you finally see it, it's like, wow, you get mad at yourself. And it's kind of like this, man. You know how your parent, as an adult, when you were a child, anybody ever have your parent threaten to whip you because you couldn't find something? Like, if I have to get up, I'm gonna whoop you because I'm looking right at it. You don't see that thing laying there, boy. You don't see that thing. Oh my God, you don't see that? If I have to get up, I'm whooping your tail. Ricky, you ever had that happen?
Yes, sir.
Get mad at you because you don't see it, right? And that's what we do in life. We get mad at you when you don't see our perspective, right? How you mad at me because I don't see your perspective? I ain't standing where you standing. I haven't been standing where you standing. How am I supposed to see? You sitting over there on the couch. You're going to whip me because you got to get up and walk 5 feet? You would whip me for that? I actually got whippings for that. See what I'm saying? You would actually whip me, make me cry, hurt me. Because I don't see something. Just think about that, how crazy that sounds. And that's what we do now. Because I don't see something your way, you now want to attack me. You're going to whoop my tail now. Right? I get people all the time threatening to beat me up. I'll whoop your tail. I'll blow your brains out. You going to do all that to me? You're going to do all that to me? Why? Why would you do all that to me? What'd I do to you? You see, because and then we do that to ourselves. When you finally see it, you get mad at yourself. Like, man, and you be like, man, you stupid. You hard on yourself. So you can't even be mad at your parent for whooping you, right? Because now you done took on that same mentality and you beating yourself up. You beating your own tail. You know what I mean? But I'm past that point. I recognize that, every single Buddhist statue that you see is sitting with their eyes closed because they're simply unconscious. Your soul, your higher self is unconscious. It's not going to bully your reality, okay? It's not. You have to take the time and sort out your reality. But you cannot blame your consciousness is not to blame. Your higher self is not to blame. Your ignorance, but when your ignorance, you can look at your ignorance and say, okay, my reality was shaped and my actions were being shaped by my reality and by my programming, but I can change my cells. I can change my cells and redirect my path. You see what I'm saying? And I'll end up in a whole different place. And now I'll be able to dodge those storms because I got cells, right? When I had this surgery, I saw it coming and knew I wasn't prepared financially to handle it. So I asked you guys for help initially. Thank you very much, DID. Actions speak louder than words. I asked you guys for help initially. I was always honest and upfront about what I needed. But at the same time, I wasn't able to dodge that cell. I wasn't able to dodge that storm. But if I had cells, say I had discovered or poured out of myself a way to monetize something, right? And I had finances coming in. I maybe could have dodged that storm. I maybe could have had, a substantial and good enough insurance to be able to handle it or even pay for it and not have to need help. You see what I'm saying? And so, like, when you look at life, you recognize that there's no such thing as the past. So you can't say I wish I would have known. There's no such thing as the future. So you can't say I hope I know before or I hope I know in time. There's only now, and that's all you can deal with. So whenever you become enlightened, that's all you need to worry about. When you work your way all the way through a dark room and you find the light, you don't look back to make sure you found it okay. You just keep moving forward. Dang, that was powerful. That just hit me. When you walk into a room and you feeling all around that room and you finally find the light, the lamp, and you turn it on, you don't have to look back to make sure you made it okay. You're here now. Now you see, right? You don't have to walk back and trace your steps back to the room and make sure how you found your way to that point. You got there, right? You might have touched 20 times on that wall. Your fingerprints all over that wall. I don't even know why that's funny to me. But you found the light, right? There's no need to go back and search and see how many times and worry about how many times you missed the light touching the wall. And you don't. You don't. You just simply move on. You don't be like, man, I felt all over. How come I don't know where the wall is by now? I done lived in this house 12 years. I done refinanced. I got 2 mortgages on this house and don't know where the damn lights is. You don't think like that. You just keep moving. Just keep it moving. Right? Even when you hit your leg on soil, you do get mad about that. Who left this out? Didn't cause you pain. You don't really worry about it. And so a lot of times when it don't cause you pain that you know of, you don't worry about it. So you move on without questioning. Thank you very much, LeSean. He said that was divine. Thank you very much, Vanessa. Actions speak louder than words. When it doesn't hurt you directly, you don't really question your surroundings. But if you walk into a room and you stub your toe, anybody ever had those old, those single bed rails don't come with a headboard, and that you had the bed around backwards and the little rail things was too low, and you cut your whole foot off. Anybody ever cut their whole foot off on the bed rail and had to go back to the hospital and get it re-put back on? Who all did that once or twice? You start learning your steps real quick then, because you feel that pain immediately. And listen, gradual pain is something you got to be really careful of. They did this scientist took frogs and he put them in a pot of lukewarm water, and those frogs were just comfortable in that lukewarm water. And then he turns the heat on, and the water starts to heat up, and the frogs don't realize the change in temperature because they were just chilling. Before you know it, these frogs are boiling dead in this water and never sensed that it was heating up. Now, if you had thrown them in that scalding hot water to begin with, they would have done everything in their power to get out. Think about that. This is the matrix we live in. I talked about at the beginning of the episode that I was going to use a lot of water analogies. That's another one. We're all in this water that is the matrix, and the heat's being turned up on us constantly. It's getting worse and worse. They're showing us more murders happen. A child by the age of 8 would have probably saw more carnage than freaking the 300. You understand what I'm saying? They would have saw more than an armed soldier fighting in the Holocaust. By the age of 8 years old, they would have saw more bloodshed and carnage than a Holocaust soldier. Do you understand how crazy that sounds? So the heat's being turned up. We're being more desensitized and more desensitized. Are we going to get out the water, or are we going to boil in it?
I think we're gonna boil, bro.
I think we're gonna change ourselves and change the course of our ways.
Yeah, if people like you,
or we gonna boil in it, like you said.
Yeah, we need people like we need people that think like you, man. But the thing is, it all of this is important what you're saying, because like if someone can't control you, someone said earlier, the word controls you. You see what I'm saying? So it's like the word of God. They call the word, the Bible, the word. And you're talking about words. If words don't have the power or the desired effect that they have on you, then someone has to use something else to try to control and manipulate you. Because if they call you a name and they don't get the reaction that they expect out of you, then they have to try something else. You see what I'm saying? So you can't be controlled by those words, because people can control. If you allow words to have the desired effect or the impact that society has placed upon that word, just like the N word, for example, you call somebody that and they know they're gonna get a certain type of reaction out of you, then you are allowing that word to control you. So if you take the control out of that word, then they have to try something else, and that's exactly what you're saying, and I think that's where you're trying to get this deprogramming will get us all, to that point.
I agree. I agree 100%. And that's the thing, like you say, Ricky, about, just putting thought, into our lives and the reality that we are actually creating and projecting out in this world. And I think one of the ways to do that, or the only way to do that, really, and to have the power to be able to, like you just said, have the power to withstand words, is to get rid of your ego. And the point I was getting to, guys, where I mentioned about going through life searching for some dumb boy, right? Like Bruce Leroy, searching for this person who was really himself. And we spent our lives searching for who we thought was God, realizing that it was just our higher self. The person we thought was talking to us was our mind the whole time, the person we was trying to be closer to. And I'm talking about our mind was enlightening us the whole time, and we was thinking that God was giving us a word. I'm talking about y'all. Y'all done been in prayer or just been riding down the road in thought and really had a great idea and be like, thank you, Jesus. And really think that God gave you that. Like the Holy Spirit gave it to me. And prophets and preachers will tell you better act on it because the Holy Spirit will give it to somebody else. And hey, you feeling like you only got a time stamp on that thing. You better get busy for God give your blessing to somebody else. Because God wanted it to be done. You better start that clothing line, Sister Eleanor. The prophet told you. You had two prophets tell you. Eleanor, 80 years old. Don't know nothing about clothes. Prophets, two prophets. No, but we know that we've had epiphanies. And we thought these epiphanies, and we thought that these, when that light turned on, came from that source that we believed in, and we realized it was us. The same thing happens with ego. We actually say you got to get rid of ego, destroy, get rid of your ego must die. Ego doesn't exist. It's like saying Jesus died or Jesus, we got to get rid of Jesus. Jesus doesn't exist, right? There is no such thing as ego. You were taught ego. You were given a name. You were given identification. There's no such thing as ego. There's no such thing as you. Here's what I'm telling you. When you see a drop of water, it's a drop of water. But when you put it in the ocean, what is it? It's the ocean. A drop of water is not single from an ocean, right? But when we see the ocean, we say that's an ocean. We don't say that's a bunch of drops of water. When we look at the ground, we don't say that's a bunch of grains of sand, do we? We say it's the ground. We say it's the earth, right? Every single thing that you look at is made up of very small molecules. The trees you see around you, everything you see around. Now, density is, if you learned in school in science, about to get scientific on y'all right now, okay? Density in school is how fast the atoms are moving, right? How fast are they bouncing? So, of course, a stone is only an object whose atoms is moving faster than something like water, which is liquid, right? Or something like a sponge, which is soft. The molecules or the atoms are bouncing slower in it, so the density isn't as hard. This is where you get hardness from, okay? Atoms bouncing. So everything is made up of even steel, the sword, everything is made up of small atoms, okay? So when you see them grinding steel away, it comes apart in small like dust, right? Just like when you grind wood, it comes apart in sawdust. These things make up something larger. We make up something larger. We think we're separate, but we're not even separate from the environment we live in. We are one. Your lungs and the air outside of it is one breathing apparatus. Without one, you wouldn't have the other. If there was no lungs, there wouldn't be air. Do you not understand that? Air would not exist if there was no one to breathe it. Do you not understand that? Light would not exist if there was no eyes to see it. We're all one organism. Who are you without the environment you live in? Who are you without oxygen? Who are you without food? Because all food is molecules that make up yourself. It's just carbon. That's data. When you eat it, your body processes it. You think you're eating something separate from you, but you're still eating yourself. You are here and you're using bits of yourself to sustain yourself. See how crazy that is? When you eating food, you're literally eating yourself, because when you eat that food, it does what? It becomes you. This is why they say you are what you eat. Food, whether it's healthy or bad, it becomes you. You are an inanimate being. You're not good or bad. There's no such thing as good or bad. These things are applied. Of course, we call things like murder and rape bad to identify it as something that's evil and things like that. But there's no such thing as that. When you taste food, if it's good to you, all it means is that the sensation that was sent to your brain was that of good. But if it did not send a good signal to your brain, it wasn't so good. So you would say it's bad, it's nasty. But that's perspective. Because to me, grapefruit is the worst thing on earth. It's like battery acid, if I even know what that tastes like. But I would imagine they taste similar, right? But to someone else, grapefruit may be absolutely wonderful, right? So it's just a signal that's coming to my brain, man. That's it. So we're neither good nor bad. So whenever you're eating life, you in turn reap life. When you're eating things that's bad, like fatty foods, let's say foods with high cannabinoids, not cannabinoids, cannabinoids.
Carbohydrates.
No. Cannabinoids is cannabis, though. That's what's funny. Like, because people do eat food with cannabinoids in it. You know they do. But here's the thing: when you eat food with cannabinoids in it, you become high. You become intoxicated, right? And look, I'm gonna tell you something, because I'm looking for the word that is associated with cancer. You know, foods that are high carcinogens. Yes, foods that are high in carcinogens would make your body create or become cancer. It's not creating cancer; it's becoming cancerous. Right? The environment around it becomes cancerous, and this is how cancer is produced, right, inside of your body. Yeah, carcinogens, I got it now. But speaking of cannabinoids, whenever you do eat, your cannabinoids, and they begin to get you high, and it begins to have an effect on your body. Why does it do that? It is becoming you. When you say I like cannabis, that's not what you're saying. You're saying I like the pair. I like when me and cannabis mix together. I like when you mix me and alcohol together, because you like how it makes you feel. You see what I'm saying? And this is exactly what it's like with food. When you eat the food, you become one with it. If you didn't have taste buds, you wouldn't even enjoy it. I promise you, if a lot of us didn't have taste buds, we would be able to change our diet right now and wouldn't have to worry about anything, period. But the only reason you enjoy the food that you're eating is because you become one with it. You actually taste it and experience the food. That's the only reason you like sex, is because you become one with that individual that you're having sex with, and you can but you're just feeling yourself. Think about this, y'all. When you having sex, you thinking that person feel good, but it's impossible to feel that person. You only feel yourself. This is gonna blow y'all mind. I swear, man. Give me some fireworks or something, man. I'm telling y'all don't understand. If I were to rub my finger down your forearm, you still don't feel me. You only feel you. You only feel your forearm. You just feel the nerves and sensations under your skin telling you that you're being touched, and you're saying that I'm feeling you, that you feel me. You don't feel me. You feel you. When you're cold, you don't feel the cold. You understand what I'm saying? You experiencing it. You becoming one with it. I'm telling y'all don't understand. I'm deep. I hope y'all understand how deep. I hope y'all got your snorkelers. I hope you got your gas tanks. I think that's not gas tanks. Your oxygen tanks. All of that. Because I'm telling you, I'm deep right now. I don't even know why I'm just going there. You know? But it's like that. So when you actually having sex with somebody, what you're experiencing is yourself. That's crazy. Your brain is sending all these signals, all this dopamine and stuff, and it's like, oh my God, it feels so good. It's like, and you telling them, oh, you the man. No, you should tell you the woman. Because if you didn't have those sensational nerves to send to your body, because I promise you, that same person has slept with somebody else and it wasn't so good. See, some woman might say, man, he the bomb. And the next woman might be like, he ain't all that. See what I'm saying? It's your sensation. It's all you. Your taste buds is not the food. You can't blame food for being nasty. It's your taste. It's your palate. That's like me being mad at grapefruit. Wouldn't that be crazy? So if I see someone and in turn I'm not attracted to them, they don't arouse my senses. Like, say when I eat a peach, or when I used to eat sushi, right? Sushi was so delicious to me. It did something to me, right? It would almost feel like it was a party on my tongue or something. Like, it was just like a really good feeling. My eyes would roll when I eat it. Oh God, just the thought of it. It was so good, you know. But, you know, that agreed with my senses, you know. So if someone doesn't agree with your senses by their appearance, how dare you call them ugly? How dare you? You see what I'm saying? The same way you call this food nasty. How dare you disrespect nature? It still has nutrients in it. It's still nutrient. It's still, how dare me call grapefruit nasty? Insult grapefruit like that. Nature has provided this. If how do I know that I can't get to a place in life where there's something that grapefruit has in it that only I can use? I could be burning my bridges. Grapefruit could cut me off. I'm kidding. I don't believe that, but you know, me and grapefruit cool. But who are we to say something is nasty? You see what I'm saying? When to someone else that provides so much nutrients. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of it is just acquired taste. Just like, you know, the things that are not truly your mind become acceptable by your mind simply by acquiring a taste for it, you know. How y'all feeling? Y'all want to go deeper?
Keep going, bro.
Yeah, I
We
want
can
to go
handle the
deeper.
pressure, man.
So when I say that we're united, I mean, when you take a step back and look at the world, you don't see people on it. Now, obviously, we get a view of a world from, you know, fake NASA, right? We've never actually saw the Earth. Now, how does that make you feel? Let's just think about that for a moment. We have never actually saw the plane that we live on from space. How does that make you feel? Uncomfortable? Okay with it? Skeptical? Afraid? Does it make you feel like exploring, like you would like to see it? Makes you feel, you know, uh, nosy. Makes you feel curious, if you will. How does it make you feel that you've never actually saw the Earth before? How does that make you feel? You've never saw it. You do not know what it looks like. Hyatt Nicky said, we've been lied to, and I'm pissed. It's easy to feel that way. I was upset. Like, dang, we ain't never seen the Earth. It's been fake. It's been CGI this whole time. Wow. So we don't know what the Earth looked like. Wow. Isn't that crazy? But let's just imagine that you could see it. You wouldn't see people walking on it. You can't even see people when you're in an airplane. Right? You can't even see cars. You can't even see the streets or the road. You be so high up, all you see is just green. And sometimes you don't even see that. You just see the clouds below you. But when there's nothing separating you from the ground as far as the clouds, any air or any oxygen or H2O that's trapped in the clouds, right? Or trapped in the sky, creating clouds or whatever. Is in between you and the plane. You can see green, but you can't see anything else unless you're over water. It's kind of like if you're looking at a magazine, if you zoomed all the way into the magazine, all you'll see is little dots. And then the further you zoom out, the more you'll start seeing a face, right? Or a picture of whatever it is that you're looking at. And if y'all ever saw like what they do, like those little puzzle games, and they'll say, what are you looking at? And it'll show you like a really crazy up close view of something. And you'll think it's something totally different. You'll think it's like cable wires, like big old fat cable wires. And it ends up being like a freaking puppy's bow tie. But they were so zoomed in into the fiber that it looked like thick wires, right? You couldn't see it because you was too zoomed in. And I think that what we need to do is just zoom out. We're so zoomed in, we think we're individuals. We think that we exist on our own, when really we're an organism. We're connected. So just as every cell in your body is connected, and every cell in your body has the ability to act on its own. But are they on their own? Because I think we get the last say on that. I know that I have a human body or a vessel, and those little cells live inside of me. So I would venture to say that, yeah, we won. But maybe my cells would say that they're not one. Maybe they see just themselves, and they see another cell outside of itself, and say that now we both different cells. And now I know when I zoom in on my cells, all of a sudden now I'm seeing more than one. Now, how's there more than one if we all one, right? So as you zoom out, you start to see less, and that's what we're trying to see. You think when you zoom in, you see more. You do, but you actually are blinded. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you see more because you close up, but now your peripheral is blinded. You can't see the big picture, so you have to zoom out. So you see less of the object you was immediately focused on, but now you see more around you. And I think we need to take that type of approach. See ourselves in our culture, see ourselves separate from our culture, see other people separate from their cultures, and why they may respond the way they respond, and how that may be because of their culture. And not just see a person for a person and say, you just racist, because you racist. We have to consider the conditions that person's programming is coming from. We all robots. So I'm saying we can look at the world and see people as robots where everybody can be fixed, or we can see people and make enemies out of them because their mental paradigm is that of opposite to us. They don't have the perspective we have. Just like the same way, parents will whoop their child for not seeing something. See what I'm saying? Just like a parent will whoop their child for not seeing something from their perspective. We're ready to fight each other because we don't see something from each other's perspective. So we have to understand that the only way to have a peaceful world is to work together. And this is the reason why people who identify as Black don't have group economics, because we don't work together in groups. It's really simple. We have individual economics. There are tons of people who identify as Black who became successful, billionaires even. But on a large scale, group economics, we don't have them simply because we don't practice them. We have to understand that, a lot of these talks that we do, you can't have them in a third world country. A person in a third world country, man, they couldn't be sitting on here and hear me saying, if you be better, your environment will be better. They would say, that's hogwash. I'm starving, They would say, man, you sitting here just telling people what they want to hear, But, I don't mean it in that way. I don't mean it in that way. I don't mean it as in if you change your thinking, then plants will start just growing out of the ground and, there won't be drought, I mean, your environment will change because you will change your environment. You won't hang around the same people, You'll put yourself around people that's going somewhere, that's goal-oriented like you, that will push you or pull you in the direction that you need to go. You will remove yourself from the people who deposit negative energy into you every time you give them something that you want to do. You see what I'm saying? Rufus Wilson said, do we have free will? Sort of. Sort of we have free will. Depends on how you look at it, Rufus. We learn as above, so below, as within, so without. Cause and effect. What was there first, the chicken or the egg? Well, what was there first, the acorn or the big oak tree, right? How can you get an oak tree from a small acorn, right? Do we have free will? Does that small oak plant have a choice but to turn into that oak tree? Does it have a choice on where its roots will go, right? Do we have a choice on where our roots will go? Do we have a choice on how large we will get? How much of our life is free will? If I were to get up here right now and say, I'm hungry, I'm going to go to the store and get something to eat. I could say my free will. On my free will, I got up and got something to eat because there wasn't anybody keeping me from doing that. But why did I go get something to eat? Because I was hungry. My hunger caused me to get up and go get something to eat. So that wasn't my free will. It wasn't of my own free will. If I never got hungry, I would never go get anything to eat. If I didn't need food, I wouldn't do it. So I'm a slave to what I need anyway. I have to continue to eat. The moment you stop breathing, you're out of breath. Whether you inhale or exhale, you can die if you don't breathe anymore. It's over. And whether you exhale or inhale, it's not going to be much of a difference on how long you can even hold your breath. You see? So we're nature is consistent. We think it's sporadic and things are happening in events. Like you say, well, do we have free will? We're looking at our life in events. If can I do this? Can I do that? Do I have the free will to do this? Do I have the free will to do that? But nature doesn't react in that way. There's no such thing as free will to nature. There's no such thing as events to nature. Nature is consistent. You're consistent. You just don't know it. It's why your heart never stops beating, or you would die if it did. It's why you never stop breathing, because if you did stop, you would die, right? We know that you're consistent. Your blood is always running. Your brain is always working, even when you're asleep, because if it stopped, you would die, right? Nature is the same way. We think that nature can be broken down into events like seconds, right? Milliseconds, minutes, hours. I was telling some friends the other day, Claudia and Vicky, actually, and I was telling Jamie this too the other day, that you ask any clockmaker, any scientist out there that understands the sun or astrology, anything like that, they will tell you that there is no such thing as a 365-day calendar year. That is an invention. That is an invention, a man-made invention. It does not take. I mean, it does not take the Earth 365 days to go around the sun. This is a calendar that we've made, right? There's not 24 actual hours in a day. There's not actually 60 minutes in an hour. There is because of time, but you get what I'm saying. By math, there is. But this is also just like the inch. It's ambiguous. It is not real. Time doesn't exist. We created time. 9 o'clock is a figment of man's imagination. A deer would never say that crap. Like a deer would never say, man, what time is it? Like, you know what I mean? It would never think that. That's our matrix, right? A deer would never say, what year is it? How old are you? You know, they don't think like that. A zebra would never say, I'm a zebra. You know what I mean? A zebra would never look at a rhino and say, you a rhino. Like, you know what I mean? They don't think like that. They don't think like that. You understand? They understand the nature of each other, but they don't deal with identifications like names, right? You know that they don't see a rhino and be like, that's a two-horned rhino right there over there. That's a snaggletooth jackal, right? That's a spiked-backed porcupine. All the names and things that we give animals to try to describe and bring meaning to them. You know, they don't, you know, so we know these things are not real. There's no such thing as a lion. We know we just called that creature, that animated creature, a lion, right? We know that we identify it by being a large, what we call cat, which is another name, and we say it has a mane, which is another name, and everything about it is something that's made up. But we know we know it exists, but we know that it's not a lion, you know. But right now, if I called a lion a tiger, somebody would be mad at me. Or if I misspelled a word, somebody would laugh at me, because they assume that to not be able to spell correctly is an intellectual flaw, when they don't understand that reading just means to guess. Why is there a need for silent letters, family? Why? If the G is silent, why put it in lasagna? Why? And so we attach ourselves to things like that and be like, man, I can spell, I can read. And so when you read it and you struggle with a word you never saw, you get nervous as if somebody gonna laugh at you. Like, laugh for what? It's a word you're not familiar with. You see what I'm saying? How do you know that POT at the ending of the word is not po instead of pot, even though in POT, Home Depot? How you know whatever, or apropos. If you reading the word apropos, use apropos. People would laugh at you, right? And that's what I mean by identifying with different things and words. Why words can be so powerful, but you have to destroy that. Forgive me. Don't destroy your ego. It doesn't exist already. Understand that your ego was given to you, and simply just let it go. Just like we did religion. You don't exist. There is no you. There isn't a you. There is no name that I can give you. You are. You just are. You just be, right? We say you are life, or you are light, right? Or you are soul, energy, SOL. And this is just to try to make you as ambiguous as possible. We're trying to remove you from identifying with anything. I'm telling you, man, you have to understand the ramifications of being black, of identifying with being black and taking pride in being a color. When your life is not anything, but you're proud of being black. For what? For what when your life is struggling? when you see us as a people or in a condition that we can't seem to get out of, why are you simply just proud to be a color? Because we were taught to feel proud of a color. But what if we were taught that color is not something to be proud of? What if we are taught that what you produce is something to be proud of? Who you become is something to be proud of? Because it's many black people, and they're not all people to be proud of. Shoot, believe me, it's some black people I wouldn't even want to be associated with. And they blacker than me. You see what I'm saying? So being black can't make you valuable in terms of to the society you live in terms of peaceful and making it move correctly. Yeah, of course your melanin is valuable, but that we're talking about, that's just your vessel. And that's according to this matrix, your melanin would sell for a certain cost. We know melanin is very expensive. The cost of your organs, have a value to them. So yeah, you can personally, your being or your vessel, your avatar, okay? And I'm gonna keep saying vessel because I'm keep telling you, you're the boat, you're the vessel of the boat, and your mind is a sail. So, of course, your vessel can be appraised. Someone can look at the boat and say, man, it's got this much amount of wood, this much amount of steel, it's got this much amount of rudders and try to appraise the boat and say it has, unique leather or real gold in it. And before you know it, you're paying for a yacht. You know what I mean? You can more than 100% appraise you, but what's your true value? You see what I'm saying? Right, LeSean? 358 grams, $358 per gram. The most expensive thing on the planet is melanin. So yeah, there's a value to you. There's a value attached to your social security card as well. Absolutely, you are a citizen. You are, you're owned. Your straw man is owned by the government. Absolutely, but who are you? See, that's what I'm saying. Your ego is just your straw man. Your ego is your name, your all the things that you identify with. Your name, your birth date, your social security number. Your ego is your nationality. Your ego is your gender, right? If you're a woman, you may feel a certain way about things solely because you're a woman. If you're a man, you may not look at things objectively. You may look at things from the perspective of a man. And that's not wise when you live in a world that also has women because, man, we are one organism. So we're separating ourselves by doing that, by only being one way. And this makes you what they call misogynistic. When you grow up in that man's matrix and you understand this word, it doesn't make you evil to be misogynistic. It makes you misogynistic to be misogynistic. You're programmed. You see misogyny in the world you live in. It's accepted, and it's not seen as something bad. And so you don't know that. You pick it up later. You pick it up. You don't really learn because you get so desensitized to it. So just the same way as if a male and a female is walking up to a door at the same time and they're complete strangers, who grabs the door? Obviously, we all would say male. If a male walked in the door and he didn't hold the door for another male, he would be rude. But if he didn't hold the door for a female, oh my gosh, right? And these are things that we look at because we have these gender makeups and things that you should and shouldn't do because you're a gender. But we talked about this before. Like pink is not a girl color. Red is not a boy color. Pink was actually a boy color because it's actually a part of red. It's close to red. It just blended with a little bit of white to make it pink. And so red was actually a masculine color until not too long ago. So of course, our paradigm when we were born, of course, pink was already a girl's color. So now if you see a person wearing pink, it's funny because I see this Evolve jacket with me having it on. It's this light peach pink color. We see like a feminine color, whatever, but no, it's just a color. It's literally just a color. There's no such thing as a masculine color. There's no such thing as a dark color in terms of gloom, in terms of it's dark, it's spooky, right? These are things that we apply, right? And this is why I'm saying we got to learn to break away because we did the same thing with religion. We made it holy. We made it smarter than us, right? And our potential became limited due to it, So it's now time to try to see if we can go against that, in that science project or whatever. Whenever he took those fleas and put them in a jar, I thought about doing that. I really thought about, if it wasn't for, you know, possibly getting fleas in my house or ruining a whole generation of fleas, because I'm vegan for that reason, because I don't want to hurt animals in that way or whatever. Uh, but I'll tell you, man, if I could try that experiment, I would like to do it with, say, take the jar down to 7 inches, right, from 14. So the fleas go from jumping their maximum height to around 14 inches. Put them in a 7-inch jar, right, and then once their height is stagnated, what you would do is wait until the main fleas die off and have baby fleas, right, new fleas, and then expose those baby fleas to a new jar that was 14 inches tall. Now, of course, they would only jump 7 inches because now their paradigm is shaped, but also put in new fleas and see if seeing other fleas can make them jump higher, and mark the jar as it goes. I think I'm gonna do that. That would be something to see, because I would love to really see if the mind can be shaped back into it. Because hey, maybe our condition can't be helped, but if it can, and all it takes is us to see someone else jumping high again for us to do it, then dadgum, that would be amazing. Just imagine you go outside and you see somebody just jump up in the air and start flying like Neo. Just think about this now. And then just because you saw him do it, all of a sudden you doing it now. Just think about how amazing that would be. And all of a sudden you think that you're doing something special. And then you find out we was doing that years ago. But somebody tricked us into believing we couldn't fly no more. Just imagine how crazy that would be. You found out your ancestors was flying. Like, we've been flying. What you talking about? How you think we got to all these places? We flew. We teleported. We did all these things.
Hey Kevin, that actually happened with the mile, man. Before somebody ran a mile in under 4 minutes, they thought it couldn't be done before. And once the first person did it, everybody else started doing it after that first person did it.
Man, listen, a guy did a test where he was trying to see if we are built off frequencies, if there's actually knowledge in sound, if our brain can learn just by airwaves. Like, you don't know you learning, but a frequency can make you smarter, right? And so he thought about it. So he said that he taught brand new information to people in one country. And then when he went to another country and taught this same information in an isolated area, not recorded or anything, they caught on way faster, as if it was like he put it in the universe or whatever. And subsequently, like, we all learn from each other, even when we don't speak. Like, what if it was something to that? Like, we talk about the age of the awakening, right? The age of Aquarius, and we say that when the sun comes back into the age of Aquarius, people will be enlightened. And Jesus said, "You will see a man bearing a pitcher of water. It is there." You see what I'm saying? That the illusion will end, right? And so, to science, they say that man bearing a pitcher of water is simply, of course, the sun moving into a realm or atmosphere where more rays penetrate the Earth's atmosphere, and in turn, it would make us smarter because we're getting access to more of the sun's rays now, or different frequencies of the sun's rays. That would be ridiculous if the sun can make you dimmer or brighter intellectually, just based on the vibration that comes in. It's kind of like Superman. Remember, they called him Kal-El. El means God or the sun. And so that's why Superman's name was Kal-El, because his strength came from Elohim, the sun. Okay, which is really powerful when you think about it. But and this is just a cartoon, but these people esoterically, they understood stuff, man.
Hey, you have the Dark Ages.
Somebody said, yeah, absolutely. Oh, wow. Absolutely begging for change. You typed, Ricky typed, Dark Ages, lack of knowledge in those times. Think about what they were able to accomplish with the Dark Ages by limited knowledge. And so think about it, does the same thing. It creates dumb parents, and those dumb parents, in turn, can only give their children dumbness. or numbness or ignorance, right? Because what can you teach that you don't know? We know this. Someone said that those fleas tapering off the abilities of those fleas sounded like slavery. This is exactly what happened. They tapered off the abilities, mental intellect of our ancestors, right? And then they precede us. So here we are coming after them, and we're being raised by them, and they give us the same cast or the same crutch or the same mental helmet. They put the same lid on the jar for us that was put on for them, right? And they don't know that they're doing it. We don't know that they're doing it. So then we repeat it. This is why I say we have to learn and become more accessible in terms of our mind, um, being more open-minded to different thoughts, so we can be careful what we teaching our children. You see what I'm saying? Because we don't teach our children how to maintain their selves. We don't teach our children how to raise their selves and how to navigate this world. Think about this, y'all. When we grew up, our friends were the people that validated us, that made us happy, that complimented us, right? That made us laugh, that we seemed to share things in common with. We cared nothing about if they were goal oriented, right? We cared nothing about if they were going anywhere in life. They just was fun. They was our friends, right? We need to show our children that they need to pick the people that surround them. They need to pick the people around them and make sure that they fall in line with where they're going. See, we're not goal oriented. Most of us don't even know how to set goals. You see what I'm saying? And that's what we have to learn to do. Most of us just let our days go by. We just go with the flow and let our day turn to night. And we don't take any real thought for what we're doing during our day into how it will benefit our future. You see what I'm saying? Myself, Vicky, Claudia, we had like a whole meeting, talk on the phone the other day that ended up turning into hours. And we were just talking about our future and how we were wanting to do better in our future, and setting up goals. That's what we were doing. Having that conversation, we were setting goals. And then during that conversation, we were planning things that we wanted to do next in our life, next steps for us, recent steps that we were going to do. Vicky said something that she was into, that she was going to be doing, saying out loud what we're going to do. And I said something at the end of that conversation. I said, this is good. I'm writing this down because this is good. I'm writing this down. I write my goals down, right? Write them down. That way you have some direction. Listen, if you're that vessel with that sail on water, you still need navigation. You still need to know what north and south and east and west is. You still need a navigational system. And this is your goals. So you can have a great mind, but with no goals, you still can be stuck. I have a great mind. I'm very intelligent. I'm wide awake. I constantly challenge my paradigm. But during my time with these health issues, I found myself in a predicament because I did not have navigation to build monetization, to be able to survive in this water without finances. You see what I'm saying? So you can have a great mind. You ever hear the saying that you're so spiritual that you're no earthly good, right? You don't want to be so spiritual, so caught up into, the pyramids and, the 48 laws of power and all these things that you don't focus on your immediate life to change your own life. You see what I'm saying? It's amazing. Astrology is amazing. I love astrology, guys. I love it. I love astrology. Everything about it. I love the esoteric symbolism that comes along with astrology, the stories attached to it. I love how meaning can be attached to one's life by simply looking at astrology. And they can actually guide their lives and become better people by simply looking at and applying astrology to their life. I think astrology is really cool, but don't let it get in the way of your world, of the reality you live in, right? This is what I'm saying. Don't be so spiritual. Don't be so good at meditating that you don't know how to pay your bills. You see what I'm saying? It's all about balance. We live in both worlds. We live in the spiritual. We in both places at the same time. Just like you have an epidermis that's totally alive outside of you, and then you also have under your skin, right? Layers and layers under your skin. They have different names, right? We have different names already to identify them. And then you have, blood and veins, and you have organs and stuff like that, all inside of you, right? But they all exist at the same time. You're in both places. Right now, I'm outside of me because my eyes open and I'm looking in the world, right? But I'm also inside of me because I'm thinking. You see what I'm saying? You're in both places. And so we have to understand that this is as above, so below, perfect balance. Ma'at, right? The principles of Ma'at. And this is why I love this understanding, the principles of Ma'at, the principles of the 48 laws of power, the principles of chakra, the principles of astrology, right? The philosophy that can come from such, right? Beautiful philosophies. Yes, hi, it's Nikki. I do enjoy astrology. I don't read astrology as in daily, like, if you're a Virgo, this gonna happen, and you need to, consider your career path and stuff like that. Not to that degree. But I absolutely do love astrology. I look at it more from an esoteric standpoint. It actually makes a lot of things make sense for me because I understand astrology. I understand the Bible a lot easier, just in other things. So I've gotten so good at it that I can see it when most people can't, and hear it when most people can't, So that's where I am with astrology and things like that. But I mean, these things can be used to make you a better person. But I mean, understand that you live in both places, right? You have what they say, positive and negative. There's no such thing, but you exist in both places, right? You have a physical and a spiritual. You have thought, and then you have a body, right? And your thought and your body both exist, and one of them you can't see, but it's just as real, right? Somebody said, "What is astronomy?" Astronomy is the study of the stars in terms of traveling through the stars, outer space. Where astrology is the pattern of the stars, as into esoteric meaning and things of that nature. So if I look up where Jupiter is, and they're saying Jupiter is here, and this is Mars, and this is Pluto, that's just astronomy. But if I say this is Mars and it's associated with masculinity and war, then I'm getting into astrology, the meaning of it. Somebody's begging for change, says light years in distance. Absolutely. Now watch this. This is what's amazing. We talk about the sun and it giving us light and all. And we talked about the past and the future, both happening at the same time. Now, before I say this, I want to make sure that everybody is listening. So give me a thumbs up if y'all listening before I say this, okay? It's going to be about the sun, okay? So I'm just reminding myself so I don't forget the thought while I'm waiting on you guys to let me know y'all hear me, because I don't want to waste this thought, okay? I want you guys to really hear this, and I think it's going to really resonate with you, and it's going to really be my closing thoughts, and then and that'll be it until next time, guys. But listen, if you hear, I see some thumbs up. I want to see a few more. But guys, while you're here, be sure to go consider joining Patreon, man, and actually watch the video. Okay, watch it. It's called the D Program. It's going to be coming on every single week, and we're going to be going crazy deep. And believe me, we still scratching the surface. Okay, I see you guys, family. I see you guys. Okay, cool. All right. So we live in the past and the future at the same time, or past and present, future. Past and future don't exist, right? They're both thoughts and ideas. And I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna prove that. Science says that the Earth, or the Sun, is so many miles, light years, even away from the Earth, right? So we know that a light year is how long it takes light to travel, right? So if something is this many light years, it means it takes this many years for light to get to you, right? So if Earth is such and such light years away, this means it takes this many light years for the Earth's light or anything that the Earth offers to reach us, right? This means that we're living in the past. This means that the sun's rays that we're getting now was sent out years ago. Is that not crazy? I understand Jordanship. I understand that theory as well. But either way, even if the sun is local, it still happens before we see it. It still happens before we feel it, right? Because we're always living in the past. Anything that you see, it takes time for your brain to register it. It takes time for you to hear my voice. Even if I'm right in front of you talking, I said it before you heard it. You understand what I'm saying? And so this is what I mean. We're always living in the past. We're always living in the present. So if the sun is millions of light years away and the sun did explode, then that means we wouldn't even know about it in our lifetime. The sun could already be gone and we wouldn't even know it, y'all, because we still in the past. We ain't caught up yet. Just think about how deep that is, dude. That is crazy, crazy. And I say that to say this, man. We shining so much light on our families, y'all. I want to tell each and every one of y'all, I am so proud of y'all. A lot of you guys have stood up and are walking proud now, and I'm so proud of y'all. And I know that a lot of you guys get disrespected and looked down on by your family members for being awake now and not being in this crap anymore, in religious crap anymore. But I want you to understand that the light you shining, it just hadn't reached them yet. See, you don't understand. When you become the son, you get crucified. And I know that sounds like I'm saying the S-O-N, but again, we're talking about word spells. When you become the S-U-N, you get crucified. And what gets crucified absolutely every year around this time? Let's say the 22nd to the 25th. The sun. It goes on a cross, and it gets crucified, right? And the sun gets crucified. We know that it gets judged. Everybody looks at the sun and judges it and says it's something, right? It's either too hot that day or it's holy, right? Or it's not out enough, right? Or it's out too much, depending on where you live. People judge you. They're going to. But please understand that what you're doing is needed, just like the sun is every day. What it does is absolutely needed for our survival. And it may not get there yet because they're a little bit behind you. They're in the past. You in the future. We're ahead of our time. You understand what I mean? We are in the future right now. So the things that we're saying, the light that we're giving, they may not be able to receive it yet. They may not see it yet. Because they're still in the darkness. See, the earth was at some point dark until the sun gave it light. And the sun was light before the earth lit up. You understand how powerful that is? The sun was light before the earth ever witnessed that light. Whenever you see light flash, it already flashed, baby. If a gunshot go off and it kills you instantly, you never heard the gunshot. You understand? Because the bullet beats the speed of sound. So the speed of sound is actually behind that bullet. It's in the past. You die so quick, you didn't even hear a gunshot. It was just you tapped out. You understand what I'm saying? It takes a millisecond. So it's or fractions of a second, right? So everything that you see is happening past and present and future. If right now, if Ricky says something to me, he said it in the past, I'm hearing it in the present, and now I'm going to think about it and resonate on it in the future. And what he says to me may impact me so much that it changes my life, which made what he said my future. So what he said became my future. A lot of what I have said became y'all's future. You guys saw me on a video ranting about religion and how I no longer wanted to be a part of it. And a lot of you guys woke up due to what I said. I brought you to the future. I time traveled you. This is why I say, give me a month with you and you'll believe in time travel. I brought you to the future. I came back from the future and got you. I brought you light. That's what the sun does. The sun comes back with light and brings it to the darkness and reveals. You understand what I'm saying? And in doing that, it nurtures. What does the sun do? It don't just give you light. It gives you nutrients. It not only does that, it gives you the strength to get your own nutrients. So whenever it empowers a plant to have the strength to lean towards it, it also gives that plant power to soak up the water from around its roots, to soak up the fertilizer that is around its roots. Without that sun, though, it would wither. It can't survive with just the water and the roots. But there are plants that can survive without ground. They can grow straight in the water. And there are plants that can survive in the desert without water often. But you can't find a plant that survives with no sunlight whatsoever. They all have to have a little bit of photosynthesis to be able to survive. So everything needs sunlight. And that's what we're trying to provide. When we get the light shed on us, we now have the strength to lean on the sun, that person, that being who is now giving us light, until we have enough strength to go out and nourish ourselves, right? And soak up the nutrients that is around our roots, right? Just like that plant does. I'm telling you, man, the light is powerful. And that's why I say no candle loses its flame by lighting another. Look at a flame. Is it a flame really? Or is it a pattern of consistent gases coming up, becoming a flame that you see as one because you're so zoomed in, right? Or you're so zoomed out. But if you could zoom in, you would see that there is no flame. There is only gases igniting. It's not a flame. What you're seeing is consistent. If the flame is not still, it's burning the fuse. It's burning the candle. I swear I'm going deep right now. I swear I'm going deep right now. The flame is burning the candle, so it's consistently going away. Every flame that you see, the very next millisecond, is not that flame anymore. It is a consistent flame. If I strike a lighter right now, it's not the lights you see is dissipating quickly, but it looks consistent, don't it? This is what we're trying to create, y'all. We're trying to create an organism that's so consistent. It is as if it's one, and then you will see that you are one. Oh my God! I just broke the code. Water. Bruce Lee said, when you put a drop of water in the ocean, it becomes oh my, I swear to God, if I was in church, that's you can shout off that. You can shout off that, bro. If the water is your matrix, when you get dropped into your matrix, do you not become your matrix? A drop of water in the ocean becomes the ocean. Oh my God, yo. Dang. Water can crash. Water can crush. Water can heal. Water can plenish. Water can sink a Titanic. It can be frozen and be so dense it can crack your head open. Water can be so hot it burns your skin. It can be so hot the fumes from it, even when it's in its gas state, can melt right through you. And it's never single, but it is. You see, when you see steam, you say it's steam. You don't say it's a bunch of little bitty molecules burning me. You see what I'm saying? Because it's working so much together, you only see it as a unified object. And you are the same. Your cells inside of your body, your organs, your heart, your lungs, everything about you is working in such an order consistently that you have being. Do you not understand how crazy that is? The same way that those gases are working consistently so that flame exists, so that flame seems to continue to exist, is the same way you seem to continue to exist. But just like I told you about density earlier, it's the amount of time that atoms travel. Your skin is just atoms traveling at a certain rate, which creates a certain density. The only reason you can't put your fingers through stone is because the atoms are moving too fast in the stone. The reason you can put your fingers inside of water is because the molecules are moving slower, and some molecules are moving so slow you can't even tell, like air. You see what I'm saying? You are nothing but moving molecules. You are not consistent either. Your thoughts are consistently changing. Your body is consistently renewing. Think about this, guys. Your body is consistently dying and rejuvenating all the time. You have cells that die. Your skin will completely replenish itself in 7 years. You will have a completely different body than you had 7 years ago. You're not the same person at all. Everything about you is different. Your cells have completely regenerated and everything about you is different. And yet you still think you're the same flame. Think about that, yo. And if we're all one consistent flame, if your life is that of a flame, it's not really stagnant. It's consistently moving. You're not stuck. It's that flame, right? And the thing about flames is they can build, right? And if a flame is put out, one flame can light another. This is why we'll never die, because that knowledge is just like fire. I remember like when my video went viral and then so many people was like, trying to find who I was, and some attacking me, some loving me and stuff like that. I remember saying the truth spreads like a wildfire. I didn't even realize what I was saying then. Fire can burn up, y'all. And we know that fire is seen as something that's horrible. Hell, the place that you're supposed to go to if you don't live up to God's, the ultimate being in the universe's standards, is consumed with this place, fire. But we also know fire, from another perspective, is seen as purification. Is it not? And so just as the sun scorches up, it also provides fire or light in a more general nature that provides food and nutrients, or an atmosphere where food and nutrients can be provided. So sometimes what you're saying may burn or hurt people, but understand sometimes things have to be burned away. When I was a child, I grew up in the country, and there was this, I lived in a trailer, and my grandmother would always have to burn these kudzu vines behind my house. It would just, behind our trailer, it would just grow up real big kudzu. And my grandmother would, it would get so big in the summertime, man, you couldn't even see the backyard. And so my grandmother would like wet all around the yard or whatever. And then she would set these huge fires in the backyard, this backfield behind our house, to kill all this kudzu off. But it was because she was trying to clean it, you see? And then she would plant her garden and stuff from there. You know, so fire was a good thing. You know, I'm sure, you know, to the kudzu, it didn't like it, but the kudzu had to go because a kudzu is a vine. It's only there to choke up. And that's what a vine does. It's a symbiotic. It's not a symbiotic. It's because we know symbiotic is when both are getting something out of it. All right. But it's a parasitic relationship when it comes to a vine, because the vine doesn't supply anything. It wraps around and chokes the life out of other plants and takes their water and their nutrients. And so we burn those away, the kudzu in your mind, like my grandmother used to do. You see what I'm saying? And so that's kind of what we're having to do now. Scorch away those vines that's choking our mental intellect and are choking out our potential. It's time to unlock it, y'all. And the only way to do that is to go deep. You have to be able to challenge yourself, man. I absolutely enjoyed this talk tonight, y'all. Like, I promise you, man. Like, I didn't even mean to go this deep. This stuff, I was just coming up with this stuff. Like, you just dropping into me, and that's what it's about. That's how powerful thought is. Everything started off as a thought. Do y'all not understand that? People be like, "Are you a scholar? Do you have degrees? Do you have all that?" Listen, you don't understand how powerful thinking is, man. Listen, there were people at some points in history who were considered geniuses, and guess what? They had the wrong information. What are they now? What is a genius if everything you learn was a lie? Think about this. I talked about on one of my videos, they're constantly updating information in schools. So all these kids who made the A honor roll, were they really smart because they had the right answer? Well, now that isn't the right answer. It has changed. We now realize that X doesn't equal MC squared, right? What if we get to that point? Is everybody else now dumb? If we figure out we don't need wings to fly, are the Wright brothers still geniuses? You see what I'm saying? What if we realize that wings were actually holding us back, right? That what if we figure out a better way, you know? And so this is what I mean. And that's actually a horrible analogy, because that would suggest that the Wright brothers were wrong. No, they were still able to fly. Some of the information that we have is straight up wrong, incorrect information. And we teach, it's printed in history books. There's books that speak to what a Negroid is or a Caucasoid is and what their intellect would be like. You understand? There's books, a science book on that, on race. You understand? How would anybody know what race is? You know you're making it up. You know? But here we are. So the people at that time who was under that paradigm reading those books, Ray Hagen said, "He who controls the printed page controls the thinking of the age." So all those people reading those books at that time thought they were smart, when really they had somebody else's mind. All those people reading at that time had all those other people's mind. And that's the scary thing. That's why critical thinking is key. It's great to read, don't get me wrong. You can read something and instantly become better. You can read something and you can read how to develop a personality. You can read how to set goals. These things can be read, absolutely. But what I mean, I'm talking about free thinking, thought. Man, you'll be surprised what the sun in you, what the light in you, the soul in you can come up with, can conjure up from inside of it, because I'm not pulling this stuff out of thin air. It already existed, baby. It was already in me. I just needed to be put in a condition that brought it out of me, right? It's like a cat backed into a corner. Those claws was already there, baby. You just had to bring them out. It's like a little baby girl being born with all of her eggs already in her. Think about this. A little baby girl is born with all of her eggs already. Every baby she'll have is already inside of her. But there, not until circumstances and conditions present themselves will she actually be fruitful. And tonight, circumstances conditioned themselves for me to be fruitful. And I was in labor, and things brought forth out of me. They was already there. So that's what I'm telling you. We living in the past. A woman will never have any more eggs than what she's born with. Think about how crazy that is, y'all. A sunflower seed is already born with its seeds. Think about that. They crack a sunflower open and it distributes millions of seeds. No, not seeds. That's what you see them as. It distributes millions of sunflowers. You see? That acorn is an oak tree. They're not separate. This is what I mean by everything's connected. That oak trees, we say it's inside of the acorn, but it's really not. It really is the acorn. It's everything around the acorn, and it's everything in it. It is the oak tree. It is. It be. Somebody say it be. Just say that for me. It be. You know how you be like, it be like that? No, it be. It just be. Think about this. When you walk up under an oak tree and you see all these little bitty acorns on it, those are all little oak trees. Thank you, Jordan Ship. It be. We think we understand stuff because we watch it, and we think things have patterns, and we think things has events, but they don't. That's what I'm saying. The earth is the whole universe is happening at the same time. There is no such thing as events, you guys. We structure our life into events and scenes like movies, and we think there's events. But can you think of an event where your heart was beating? Yeah, all the time, because there's not an event. You think it's an event because you was doing something and focused outside of you, and so you might remember the time that you went and rode go-kart. So you can remember back in the day, whenever you used to, skate backwards and look cool, right? You can remember all these different events in your life, but it's only because of memory, right? Of things that you were experiencing outside of yourself. Your heart was beating at that moment too. Your blood was circulating at that moment too. You're actually a consistent being. It's not based. So what I'm telling you is you are one with everything. You never stop. Your body is constantly How does your body know how to break down? Tell me that. I don't just mean when you die, because you could say, well, it just don't hold together no more. No, chemical reactions, when something is set on fire, the other item has to know how to respond to the fire. It's a chemical reaction. If I poured a chemical on a piece of paper and you saw it disintegrate, you would say, oh, look at what that chemical did. But if I put fire on a piece of paper, you say, oh, it burnt up. No, it's a chemical reaction the same way, right? Are y'all with me? So we understand that things have certain reactions in nature when they touch each other. You see what I'm saying? And so when our skin, certain things comes in contact with our skin, it begins to break down. Like right now, we know how to eat, and we also know how to be digested. Right now, if a snake bites you, that venom would immediately begin to digest your arm around that bite. How does your skin know how to do that? Because a pig's don't. A pig's skin is not aware of how to break down in that way. Even when you eat pig, it stays as pig fat in your body. A pig's epidermis, genetic being, does not have the intellect or the programming to break down by snake venom or by digestion. And it's by programming, because we're living in a matrix. So there's a code. Think about that. So somebody asked, so my man was asking earlier about free will, and I was talking about how things happen outside of themselves, right? Or things happen at the same time simultaneously within as far as without. And I talked about being children. This right here is gonna be my last thing, and this gonna blow y'all mind. So give me some thumbs up if y'all ready for this, and this is gonna be the end, okay? Give me some thumbs up if y'all ready for this. This is gonna set a lot of people free right here. I want to see at least four or five thumbs up, and I know we're here. Okay, I see him. Okay, boom, boom, boom. There we go. This is gonna set a lot of people free right here. We are predisposed to believing that things happen to us, right? If you get the heartburn, it happened to you. When you were born, that is something that happened to you. You didn't ask to be here, right? Your parents brought you here. It's not. You're not responsible for it, right? It's not your fault, right? A storm, it happened to you. Like it snowed. It's icy where I live. That happened, right? So now I can't go out and drive places, whatever, right? So it's very, very icy. Matter of fact, Sean, I'm gonna have to one day that device to you. I can't drive to that place. It's real icy out there. A lot of the roads I got to drive to get there is back road because I'm in the country bumpkin. But everything's happening from the inside and the out. So we believe that things are happening to us, right? Happening to us rather than us having any control. So we say our parents brought us into this world. Our parents believe that we happened to them. You know, they say, you wouldn't have been born, I wouldn't have changed. You came along, I wasn't raised with no baby. I wouldn't even, all this kind of stuff. Or they say, I raised you, I could take you out. I brought you in this world, I could take you out, right? So it's one way or the other. But we always associate us with being in this world with our parents being solely responsible. Ricky, me and you, we come from broken homes where we'll say, man, we expected more from our parents, right? So we do believe that there was some sort of responsibility that should have came with being somebody's freaking parent, and they didn't live up to them, you know? So we believe that there were expectations. We had these expectations set for them. But I mean, we always believe that things happen to us. And so here's what I'm trying to say. The parents that we have, I'm sure Ricky has looked on his parents and wasn't happy with them. I've done the same, and I've talked junk about my daddy. Believe me, man. I was like, man, he just could have been better. You know what I mean? He just could have been better. But I used to always say, man, why I get this type of daddy? Why my daddy do me like this? And blame. But you know, it's crazy because we have to understand that our parents don't just have sex. They're aroused. They have a desire, right? And what is the reason we have sex? Right, it is in a nature type of standpoint, is to procreate. From a nature standpoint, we only desire sex to procreate. So how do you know that you weren't the reason that your daddy had sex with your mother? Like, how do you know that you weren't the desire inside of your daddy for your mama at that moment to be born? Right? How do you know that you weren't? On Family Guy, it shows the little baby inside the eye of Peter, right? And he wants to be born, so he gets the hot for Lois and makes Peter get turned on and want to have sex. How do we know it didn't happen that way? How do we know it didn't happen from the other side? Because what comes first? Right? First intellectually, first inside of your body, you are turned on. And then things begin to happen, right? If you're a man, things begin to happen and blood begins to flow to different places. And then you can see that you're aroused by looking at you, right? If you are a woman, different things happen. Different blood goes to different places, right? And different things happen. You know, I don't even want to go there, but I just feel dirty if I say it. I don't know why I'm such a church boy, but we know that, and it was just gonna be moisture, but you would be able to tell a difference in your physical anatomy that you are turned on, but it happened first within, right? And then it was revealed without. As without, so within. You see? So it's like the being that was in you maybe was aching to get out. You know, you never know. And so maybe with a standpoint like that, we'll say, I chose to be here. And so like if you say, man, you brought me this, I did not ask to be here in this world, you know, you may not have the same approach in life. But if you say, man, I chose to be here. I knew my mama was gonna die when I was 3. I knew I was gonna have a daddy that when I was born, he would be too immature to be a father because of how he was raised. And yet and still, I chose to come up in this bad boy to make a difference. Walking with a freaking strut, baby. And that yields a whole different attitude. Because I chose to be. Ain't nobody just brought, man, please. You ain't bring me nowhere, bro. I opened that portal. I came on my own. Only thing you could have done to stop me was abort me. Because there was a time where I didn't have control. But dadgummit, I got here. You know? And we take a whole new approach to I kick the door down on life. I knew how bad it was. And I came anyway because I'm just G like that. You see what I'm saying? It yields a whole different approach. But again, things happen. It's like that. You may think that that causality is coming from the catalyst. Like say, I have a plant, I have a seed, so it turns to a plant. But how do you know the latter wasn't first? And these things, if you were to come way behind the fact, you would never believe an oak tree was once inside of a little acorn. You would never believe that a tree that you can drive your car through would ever be the size of your palm or small enough to fit into the tiny circle into your palm. You would never believe that coming in at the last minute. You would think it was a myth, right? It'd be like Jack and the Beanstalk, man. The same way you grew, right? The same way you were once a seed, when you were deposited into your mama, you were built having both genders, right? Having both. And you're born identifying with the one that you see on the outside of you, right? But you still have feminine energy and feminine hormones inside of your body now, even as a man, right? And most men and women like the same things. We just think we don't. I saw this survey where they would ask women and men, do you like video games? Man, it was almost 50-50 on all the stuff they were asking. Do you like pizza? Do you like sports? Women just liked maybe some different sports, but they still liked competition. You see what I'm saying? So it's like we're not that different, but we think we are. That's the thing. We think we are. And so that's why I say that, whenever you're a child and you're a little bitty baby and then you become an adult, you may feel like you got bigger, right? But you just got more body than you used to have. But you still that same being, right? You still that same being that was in your mother's womb, right? That began developing from the inside out, right? Developing from the inside. We develop from the inside out, even from the womb. Our actual physical being develops from the inside out. Why wouldn't we think that our environment would have to develop from the inside out? That if we're going to control and change our environment for the better, that we have to change it from the inside out. The way out is in. We all must do internal development. Mind your cells, right? Raise your cells. That's it, family. I want you guys to keep that thought. We are all one. We are not one consistent flame. We are all different pieces of gas, right? Igniting a flame that makes it look consistent. And one flame can light another, right? And no candle loses its flame by lighting another. And just keep that in mind whenever you helping people and you trying to free people and you giving them this information. If they don't get it already, just remember, you the sun, baby. You live in the future. And everybody ain't gonna have access to your frequency right away. Everybody won't. And some people, your frequency gonna scorch, right? Some people, it's gonna burn them up. Some places on earth, the sun seems to burn hotter there. And some places it's serene. So until they come into your vibration, until they come into your mental geographical area, it's gonna be hot. And unfortunately, it's just gonna be hot. Thank you very much, RG. Actions speak louder than words. Indeed, I am, brother. I'm dropping jewels on myself, brother. I'm telling you. But it's gonna be hot for them until they move into your geographical area where the living ain't so coarse, right? Until your geographical mental state, till they come into your vibration. But from where you stand, if where you stand, I'm burning you. Trust me, it's not intentional. It's just my light, baby. Tell them. When they get offended at what you say, tell them it's just my light, baby. It ain't aimed at you. Trust me. The sun ain't trying to burn nobody. No. If you don't have the right things to survive in a certain environment, it's either going to be too cold or too hot for you. But the sun is just doing its thing, baby. The sun ain't mad at you. The sun ain't saying I'm going to shine my light more on Africa than Antarctica. It ain't saying that. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just shining my light. That's why, listen, guys, that's why I say rise and shine. I hope y'all don't think that I'm just saying that. I see that as esoteric. Rise and shine. Rise, R-A-S. Ra is the sun, your higher self. Rise and shine. And when you rise, which is why you pronounce it in that way, that spell rise is rise, because it means to rise like the sun. Because rise, rise. God's rise. R-A apostrophe S, God's rise. Rise, rise. Right? And they shine. You're going to shine. Rise and shine, family. This is why I say this all the time. I want, man, if something ever happened to me, I want y'all to be able to look back at my videos and be like, God, dog, that's what he meant this whole time. That's what I mean. Rise and shine, just like the sun. Give your energy, even when people don't receive it. They just in the past. Man, I got people who come to me now and be like, bro, I hated you then, but I love you now. Because you was in the past. You came into the future now, so now you understand me. Now you can receive my light. But until then, you thought I was in the dark. But you was in the dark. See what I'm saying? It wasn't me in the dark. It was you in the dark. When you can't see what I'm saying, it's you in the dark, not me. Don't you understand? When you can't see, you're the one that's in the dark. Y'all don't get it. When someone can't understand you and they think that you don't understand their religion, they tell you that you're in the dark, that they need to shine light on you. But you're trying to explain to them that you don't accept religion in that way, that you need more. And if they can't see it, they in the dark. Because if you in the dark, you can't see, right? And so that's why we shed in light, because people may not see it our way. They might not see it from our perspective, because they grew up in different environments. Drake said, quoting from Drake, 3rd verse, 21st chapter, he said, we live in the same buildings, but we got different views. And that was probably inspired by a ghostwriter. Okay, just like the Bible has people who say Peter wrote it, but somebody wrote it for Peter. So people say Drake got ghostwriters. Whoever wrote that is deep. We live in the same buildings, but we have different views. Based on where you are, we all see different parts of the city. You see? You may see a building, but I may actually see the beach. And you may be gloomy because all you do is you look out and see another building. So you don't like what you see. So you don't like the whole building you live in. You don't like the whole building. You're ready to leave the whole building. And you want me to go with you, but you ain't never been to my apartment. And man, I can see the beach. So you ain't got to change your whole building. You just got to change your apartment. See what I'm saying? Change your view. Change your perspective.
That can even be from your body too, Kevin. Same building, different views.
Absolutely. That's actually what I mean. We're in the same. We all have bodies. We all have bodies, but we have different views. We all grew up in different environments. So everybody won't see your light when you shed it. They're gonna hear evil. They're gonna hear blasphemy. You understand? They're gonna hear what they was programmed to hear, because light hurts when you first see it. Right? It's blinding to your eyes. Light, when you first see it, can blind you. Sometimes when you go get your eyes worked on, the eye doctor will tell you to put on these really dark shades because your eyes will be real sensitive. You understand? Light can be damaging. So just understand that, that whenever people respond in certain ways to you, it's not your fault. The people that mock, they're the mockers. That's what they do. They mock. The people that giggle, that laugh, that might look at what I say or laugh at what I say in the feed, that's what they do. The people that get mad at what I say, that's what they do. They are the skeptics. They are the people that's angry all the time. They are the complainers. That's what they do. It's not your doing. People choose the paradigm that they want to operate in. They're just characters in the matrix. They don't exist. Remember that, guys. They don't exist. So when you see a-holes out here in the world, when you see people who just don't like you for no apparent reasons, and you see haters, don't think that you're doing anything wrong. They're just being who they are in the matrix. Just like when you playing different games and you pick an orc or a warrior or a magician, there's haters, right? There's gossipers, right? And they're going to play their part. Don't worry about them. Shed your light, baby. You understand? Shed your light, son. And I don't mean son as in like New York. What up, son? And we're going to start saying, what up, son? Right? What's up, son? S-U-N. What's up, son? Right? We sons, and we gonna keep shining, baby. That's the end of this episode, man. I promise you, I gotta end it because, man, it's still dropping in. It's still, I want to say dropping in my spirit, but spirit just means breath. So yeah, I guess it is. But that's gonna be it, guys. Until next time. If y'all don't join Patreon, you're crazy. I'm telling you now. If I don't see my Patreon increase to catch the next series and catch the current series that's on Patreon right now of Deprogram, y'all don't want to learn. I'm telling you now, you don't. It's $2. What I know I just gave y'all stuff that's valuable because it's valuable to me. I'm gonna take what I just said today and make my life better. $2. You're crazy if you don't. That's all I gotta say, man. You're crazy. Will a man rob God? You gonna come and soak up all my information and not contribute? Nah, I would never do that to y'all. Do what you can do. I love you guys. Whatever you can, because that's the beautiful thing about it. The sun never demands anything in return. The sun don't need the plants to do anything. You see, just give as much oxygen as you can, small flower, right? I'm sure the bees can live off of it. It might not satisfy the whole world to its fullest extent, but that's why it's more than one flower, ain't it? To produce more oxygen. See, that's the amazing thing about it. That's the sun for you right there. That's why we must always think like the sun and not think about what other people are doing to repay you for what you've given them. If you think like the sun, there is no need to even consider what someone is going to repay you, because I can't not shine. I can't turn the light off because I'm the sun. And faithfully every day, I gotta rise. Because I'm the sun. Be the sun. Every day, in the morning, when the sun rises, I guarantee you will not be shocked. Be that dependable, family. I love you guys. That's the end. Be evolution. Be the change you want to see. And no candle loses its flame from lighting another. Ricky, go ahead and hit him with anything you got to say, bro.
Because I'm about to drop the mic on.
Man, the show was amazing. The only guys that we need to see each other, and the only guy that I ever need, man, is you, bro.
Bam! Become a patron. Stay tuned the next week. This is what this show is going to be now. It's going to be about religion and everything else. We're going to free our minds completely, family. It's on. O-N actually is a synonym for sun. This is why when you turn the light on, it's called on. Solemn on. Solemn on. It's on, baby. That energy. It's on. You know that's deep. I holla. See y'all next time, family. Peace.